from Fox News and Amazon Alexa. Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
It's Tuesday, January 2nd. This is the Fox News Rundown. President Biden returns to the White House today from St. Croix. He's facing a number of pressing issues, including an aid package for Ukraine and Israel that's been stalled in Congress. House Republicans say aid for the southern border must be part of the package. The president also the subject of an impeachment inquiry. Problems at the southern border where migrant encounters hit 302,000 in December, also an issue. Lawmakers return to work this week with a busy agenda on Capitol Hill.
The sheer load of work facing Congress this year is prodigious. In fact, it could dwarf the chaos of 2023. 2 government shutdowns stare at lawmakers in the first month alone. Talks about a border security package continued through the holidays. Illegal migration at the border surged.
Fox's Chad Pergram and the names of more than 170 people with ties to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein expected to be revealed in court documents this week. I'm Sue Guzman and the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hi, it's Thunder Stealer Ken Williams, and on behalf of the Vic Porcelli Show, I hope each and every one of you have an amazing new year, and I hope you keep it with us. And Vic is back on Tuesday.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
This is Everett Jones of Jones Air and Water Treatment. For the months of January and February, we're here to make your drinking water, cooking, iced tea, coffee, and other water-based beverages clean, crisp, and free of contaminants. Joey, what do you think of yours?
We use ours here at the station every day, and it's great. There's no cumbersome big bottles, no plastic waste, and it seems endless.
Call us now at 636-899-1040 and schedule your free analysis and let us get you on the way to higher quality water. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Find us on the web at joneswater.com.
Sievers JCB has the JCB AG loader you need for maximum efficiency and versatility around the farm. JCB's TM series of articulated telescopic loaders are powerful, rugged, and engineered to deliver maximum productivity in all of your material handling applications. Take advantage of special year-end financing offers and tax breaks that may entitle you to additional savings. Stop in to Sievers Equipment and check out their full line of industry-leading JCB agriculture equipment or contact them at sieversjcb.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Sievers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Tuesday, a political war has broken out in America, an almost unique historical situation. Obviously, the Civil War was a traditional violent conflict So the national division over the Vietnam War comes closest to what we have now. Both sides are adamant their opponents are corrupt and destructive. The Trump support cadres believe the former president is the victim of a dishonest justice system and media. The anti-Trump legions think the former president is corrupt and has been destructive to the country. There is no détente possible with these two positions. They are entrenched, and because there is no reliable messenger for the truth any longer, they will remain in stone. The difference now from the Vietnam days is that a substantial number of Americans are solidly apathetic. With a dreaded draft in place back in the 1960s, ignoring politics was difficult. Today, it's easy with all the high-tech addiction. Millions of Americans live in trivial bubbles where harsh realities are blocked with the swipe of a thumb. The 2024 presidential vote will be a major turning point for this country, but getting there promises to be civically painful. The divided states of America are not going to forge compromise anytime soon, and a major portion of the population doesn't even want compromise. Back after this.
To avoid digital threats, turn on NordVPN. It's trusted by millions of users. Just visit NordVPN.com. One of the fastest VPNs on Earth will block web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. It will also encrypt your internet traffic while maintaining a smooth connection. So improve your digital privacy and protection against hackers with one simple click. Get the special deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice to have some sunshine back in the area. We're also tapping into a light but warmer flow out of the south and southwest. So, a more comfortable day. A high of about 47 after a chilly start. Upper 30s and dry this evening. Just some high, thin clouds. Down to 28 for the low tonight. Dry Wednesday and Thursday, too. Highs in the low 40s. And still watching for some light rain this weekend that could mix with light snow. Doesn't look like travel will be impacted, but a little minor accumulation on grass is possible. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
With so much happening.
I think it was President Reagan said, we're from the government. We're here to help.
So much to talk about.
Our Education Secretary flubbing one of Ronald Reagan's iconic lines.
9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
You never want to miss a moment.
There's nothing about this that shows anything good about Hamas.
On air, online, and always on your smart device.
The vast majority of those that were taken captive on that day are still there.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Happy New Year. Are you ready to deal with Bidenomics in 2024? That's not really the best way to start off the new year, but hey, it's what we've got to deal with. Hey, I'm Mike Ferguson. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Tuesday morning. And like I said, sincerely, Happy New Year. Now, we've got a lot of news to cover. Obviously, we got a lot of politics to cover. As a matter of fact, a little bit later on today, Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer going to be with us and give us a preview of what's happening in the Missouri legislature this year. But we recently had a conversation with our friend Eric Robert from Stiefel. And Bidenomics is still affecting everybody's personal finances, much less your plans to save and invest. And I found a recent survey that shows there's a lot of Americans just kind of pessimistic about the economy, in large part because of the inflation and things brought on by bad policies coming out of Washington, D.C. But when you separate out the politics, at least as much as you can, we still have to make decisions on what to do to protect our families and get ahead. Can we protect our families and get ahead in 2024? The short answer is yes. And Eric gave us some really, really good advice that applies, frankly, to everybody, whether you're just getting by paycheck to paycheck or if you've got that nice nest egg and you're getting ready to retire and you're getting ready to set up for that. Great principles here. This is worth a listen. Here's Eric Robert from one of our recent conversations.
You guys know that I have a syndicated radio show as well. Matter of fact, News Talk carries it on Sunday mornings. And I was talking to one of the analysts over at bankrate.com. And it was interesting because they did a survey, and a majority of Americans are pessimistic about their personal finances of 2024. They don't think they're going to get ahead on savings. They don't think they're going to get ahead on retirement planning. They don't think they're going to get rid of as much debt as they want. And people are worried about, what we like to call Bidenomics, what Joe Biden likes to call Bidenomics. and so, we make it political, but it wasn't political. People are just saying inflation is still a thing. People are worried about the economic conditions and how it affects us. And the survey was surprisingly pessimistic because we have all these pundits saying things are great.
Yeah.
Things are fantastic. Now, you take the politics out of it as much as you can, and you still say, okay, but what can you do?
Right.
And that's where we're going right now, because a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions, and finances are usually number 2 or 3. People usually say, I want to lose weight, or get healthy, or whatever the case is.
And get my budget in line.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
But the personal finance stuff is right up there. Eric Robert, with Stiefel joins us right now. You can hear him every weekend right here on News Talk STL as well. And Eric, I think is interesting, which is why I want to talk to you, because one, this time of year, people do put a focus on here's what I want to do in my personal finances. But at the same time, if that survey is right, the Bankrate commissioned, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of pessimism, but that doesn't mean you can't break through that. So when we look at what's ahead in 2024, what are some of the things we should be assessing in ourselves that we can control?
Well, that's a great way to separate things here, Mike, because what you can't control, unfortunately, is the broader economy. You can't control what the inflation rate has been over the last few years. And to put some context into why people are still feeling like they're getting pinched here, well, it's because they are. If you just go back to 2018, if you had a $60,000, whether it was an individual or a household income back in 2018, to have the same purchasing power today, that amount needed to have risen up to $73,400. And that hasn't been most people's reality over the last several years with getting significant cost of living adjustments. The number one thing that you have to be looking at in 2024 is if during this inflationary period, if you had disruptions in your job or whatever, if that's caused an impact to your savings rate, that's the number one thing that needs to get corrected headed into this year. And, we help our clients in all sorts of different ways, understand ways that they can save money, ways that they can reduce expenses in other places to widen that savings gap. But if you're not saving the money in the first place, you're not going to have it to grow and help solve other issues for your retirement plan down the line.
Good morning, Eric. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I've heard a lot of reports about what's going to happen with interest rates in the new year. There's a talk of them going back down, and what the effects are going to be on the real estate market, and how people might now be in position to do some things in real estate that they weren't feeling before. But I've seen conflicting reports that this is either going to have that effect of bringing back the real estate market, and some people are predicting that it's going to crash the market. And so what say you?
I don't think a crash of the real estate market is necessarily the most likely next step here. So it is looking like interest rates will start to fall as we head into next year. And quite honestly, it's looking like interest rates could come down sooner than anyone's expecting. The CME Group's FedWatch tool, which tracks the probability of where interest rates may be at future Fed meetings, is currently showing only a 15% probability that the Fed is going to hold rates where they are by the time we get to March. By the time we get to June, it's suggesting, almost 100% probability that we'll have interest rate cuts. That has implications for a lot of consumers. If you either have been waiting to move, or maybe you had to purchase something with a mortgage in the last year and a half to 2 years, and you're not happy with that interest rate environment is already starting to change for mortgages. They've come down dramatically in the last couple of weeks, and we might expect to see more of that. On the other hand, If you've been waiting, a lot of consumers have been holding off on making major purchases, things like a vehicle or other things where they might have to take a loan out because those loan rates have been so high. With falling interest rates, we would hope that you'll see more favorable terms for those and possibly more consumers getting into those purchases. Gabe, to get at your question about, what would the impact be on the real estate market? You've got different divisions there. If you're talking about residential real estate pretty much throughout the country still has the problem of too little inventory. There just aren't enough houses for sale. And I don't know that lower interest rates is going to dramatically change that. Commercial real estate's a bit of a different pickle because you do have different loans that were adjustable rate. You have vacancy issues as a result of COVID in certain cities where people aren't coming back. So I think you can't necessarily lump the whole real estate market together for 2024.
We're visiting with Eric Robert, and you can hear him every weekend right here on News Talk STL with the Stiefel On the Money radio show, Saturdays at 9 a.m. Okay, so Eric, you mentioned the interest rates, and Gabe's asked about the market. The people who don't make a living tracking these things, frankly, there's a lot of them who are just jittery. What's going to happen with my 401k or my IRA, or what's going to happen with my savings? And, that's why they want to talk to people like you to say, okay, should I be moving stuff around? Should I be reassessing stuff? But when they look at, I think a lot of people are just saying, I want to protect what I have first, which makes sense. But they may sacrifice aggressiveness, and they may sacrifice the upside of changes in the market in order just to kind of go on defense. What are the right questions they should be asking themselves, or asking their financial advisor or planner? Or if they don't have one, they should be asking you in order to say, okay, as I look at the next, 6, 8, 10, 12 months, what's the right strategy? And if I need to make some changes, how do I figure out what those changes are?
Yeah, for most people, there is, at least mathematically, a right answer. Whether or not your investment attitudes reflect that could be a different question. Yeah. But the tendency to want to protect your portfolio from short-term volatility, short-term fluctuations in value due to the market, tends to be at odds with your ability to protect your purchasing power, your ability for your money not to run out over your retirement. So that's what we help people balance. Most people need some growth function in their portfolio in order not to run out of money over their lifetime. On the other hand, you don't have to swing for the fences every single time, every single day. A balanced approach can work for many investors. And that's why we emphasize running a retirement plan and running a financial plan to make sure that we're actually not putting you in a position where you may run out of money in the future. And there's lots of ways to solve that problem. The other thing I would encourage people to do, and this is why working with a professional can be helpful if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't have this confidence, is the reason why over time stock prices go up is because over time, the companies that make up this greatest country in the world actually produce profits, and those profits actually grow. So in the long run, the stock market is a weighing machine of the profits that are generated by all of the companies in the economy. That helps at least many of our clients have peace of mind, understanding in the short term, things can fluctuate a lot. But in the long term, when earnings are growing, you're typically just going to see higher stock prices. And if you have a high quality, well-diversified portfolio, you're going to do well in that environment.
Eric, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, especially in what I'm about to talk about is saving. And people get really nervous as to what's happening to their savings in these high inflationary environments, because they're worried, well, the money that I have is currently, its value is going down faster than the rate of return I'm getting on my savings account or my money market or whatever. But investment seems to be the way to go in this sort of environment, right?
I mean, for many people, that's certainly the case. Right now, the S&P 500, including dividends, is up around 24% since the beginning of the year. Doesn't feel like it for a lot of people because they spent so much time kind of being scared and concerned about what's happening in the economy. But the market is forward-looking, not backward-looking. The bad stuff in the rearview mirror's already happened. Now we're focused on what's coming in the future. And just because we've had a strong run in the last half of this year doesn't mean that you should be prepared for bad news headed into next year. That's not necessarily what history suggests happens with the market either. We had a difficult 2022. There's no doubt about it. And that was not just stocks, that was bonds, that was assets all across the board. That suggests that you have some runway here. With the current market environment, we're just now starting to get back to the all-time highs that we saw at the end of 2021 and in early 2022. So think of all of the inflation that took place in that time. That's not baked into just getting back to the same price. Those are the sort of, it's kind of common sense metrics that tell you the natural habit of the economy, the natural habit of the stock market is biased toward growth. And if we haven't gotten back past where our prior highs were, well, at least in the past, we've always managed to do that and go considerably past them.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say, Eric, is when you were talking about obviously the personal finance, the immediate, as far as the savings, emergency funds, and then the long term with the investing, it sounds like right now it's a combination of offense and defense. I mean, and I know that some years it's more defense, and other years you're saying, hey, things are looking good, get very aggressive depending on your age, obviously. But it sounds like you've just got to balance some of that out right now for the overall picture for most people.
For most people, if you're not retired yet and you're still accruing money, the most important factor to your retirement is how much you're saving. How you're investing it is critical. But if you're not saving in the first place, you can't make it appear out of nothing. Once you're retired or you're really approaching retirement, there's not as much savings to do. That capital preservation does become more of a concern. But there's ways to do that, and it doesn't have to look like everything in your portfolio, going to a money market fund that's not going to keep up with inflation over the long run.
Yeah, and also the elimination of debt. To me, that's like my wife and I were just talking about our finances for the next year and overall. And my argument was, we're not anywhere near retirement age, but I said, it seems to me one of the most key things we could do between now and then is get rid of as much debt, including mortgages and everything, and try to approach retirement as debt free as we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's remove debt is renting money. You're just paying the fee to have access to money that you probably already spent in many cases. So anywhere that you can remove that from your balance sheet is great. The only exception to keep in mind is some folks that were able to get these wonderful 2.5% mortgages, 3% mortgages over the last several years. It does help to run the math in some cases before you put a big chunk of money down on those very low interest rates debt, because you may be better off servicing that over time.
All right. The Stifel on the Money radio show is Saturdays, 9 a.m. right here with Eric Robert and Bob Stockdale. And Eric, appreciate the update, because I think a lot of people they're scared. They're nervous. We know things, aren't as great as we're being told, but that doesn't mean you should be, paralyzed into doing nothing. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Clear Path Wealth Management Group, Stifel, what's the way to do that if they've got any questions? Because I'd encourage people just to sit down with you and go over the situation and, see what they can do.
Certainly. Go to clearpathinvesting.com. It's clearpathinvesting.com, where you can call our office at 636-695-2650.
Going to get the first news roundup of 2024 coming your way here in about 2 minutes and 17 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. And once again, Happy New Year, everybody.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, here we go. It's 2024. The Biden administration lets in millions of illegal aliens. Border state governors ship them to blue states. So guess who the leftists blame for the chaos?
Oh, the list is pretty short.
Yeah. It's one of those, are you listening to yourself? Really, Mayor, are you listening to yourself? We'll get to that in just a little bit. Also, let's compare our bold predictions for 2024 this morning. You got some bold predictions to tell?
Oh, very bold, yes.
Okay. I actually want to hear those from you as well.
Right.
I'm going to ask that question on Rumble. Gabe's going to be here in a few minutes, so we'll watch him on Facebook. And a little bit later on today, I want to know what your bold prediction is for 2024. And it could be about anything that you want. Also, the XFL does not exist anymore. That's the news that happened over the last week.
What?
Yes. So what's next for the Battlehawks?
Ooh, okay.
Give you the update here in a second.
All right.
It's 5:52 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Stel Pontica. Say Happy New Year, everybody. All right. More fighting in the Red Sea between the United States and Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. That happened over the past really about 36 hours. U.S. Navy helicopters sank 3 Houthi gunboats. Those choppers, by the way, came under attack while responding to a distress call. They fired back, sank 3 of the 4 small boats that were attacking U.S. personnel. Republican Congressman Mike Turner, he's out of Ohio. He was on This Week on ABC. He says the Biden administration needs to be more aggressive in dealing with these Houthi attacks.
This administration has been very timid in responding to escalations by Iran. In order to be able to address this, they're going to have to look at operations into Yemen where the capabilities are resident, where Iran continues to reload them as they attack commercial shipping areas and put at risk U.S. military.
Now, there were no U.S. military personnel hurt in those attacks, but Iran basically knows they have carte blanche and they can just kind of attack the U.S. at will because the Biden administration won't do anything about it.
You know, I've seen some of those videos of those attacks because they've done GoPro type stuff and posted it online. It's pretty scary when you see helicopters landing on the ships, and then all of a sudden these guys come out with their rifles and they're taking over the boat.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. All right. Missouri's minimum wage has gone up again as of this week. For almost all businesses in the state, the minimum wage is now $12.30 per hour. That's up 30 cents from last year. Increase is due to a voter-approved referendum that passed in 2018. Illinois minimum wage has gone up to, I believe it's $14 an hour now. So it's a lot more expensive to do business in both states, but particularly in Illinois. Why can't my kid get that job at Wendy's?
Man,
well, now
that's
you know
making
why.
it tough on small businesses. Oh,
Exactly.
my goodness.
And some of the smallest businesses don't have to pay as much in Missouri, rather. But Illinois, they just want to thump businesses every chance they get. All right, here we go. 2024 presidential election year. The primary season kicks off in less than 2 weeks.
First up on the election year calendar, the Iowa caucuses. No one has more riding on Iowa than Ron DeSantis, who has placed a premium on the kickoff state. He has devoted a lot of time campaigning there, including during the week between Christmas and New Year's. DeSantis has the backing of Iowa's governor and the state's top evangelical Christian leader. But Donald Trump continues to hold a large advantage in Iowa polls. Greg Clugston, Washington.
My only follow-up thought on that is, I think trying to predict what's about to happen in Iowa is a fool's errand. We have no idea until those caucuses actually happen.
Yeah, caucuses are always a bit different.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. Okay, so as of now, Illinois has a new blatantly unconstitutional gun control law on the books, bans dozens of specific brands and types of semi-auto and automatic weapons. Law also demands that anyone who's grandfathered in, who, owned one of the weapons before January 1st, register with the Illinois State Police. The law is being appealed. Multiple reports say only a small percentage of gun owners have actually complied with the registration requirements. This is going to be ugly in the courtroom and with a lot of people just absolutely refusing to comply. Okay, big changes for pro football in St. Louis. This is interesting here. The XFL is no more. It does not exist. The league merged with the USFL to form one spring football league starting this year. So the new United Football League will kick off, right after the Super Bowl like they did last year. They're going to have 8 teams. So both of these leagues had 8 teams, so a total of 16, and they just took 4 from each the XFL and USFL leagues. And the Battlehawks are part of the new league. They made the cut. Among all 8 teams, actually you could say among all 16 teams of the former 2 leagues, St. Louis was the top market for spring football in the country in attendance and merchandise and ratings in television and online viewing. So there was no question the Battlehawks are going to be back, top team in the league coming into it, and Anthony Becht will be the head coach of the Battlehawks again this year.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
we're gonna. I was been texting back and forth with some of my friends in the Battlehawks. We're gonna talk to somebody a little bit later on this week. What we don't know is what are the rules going to look like. Are they going to be more traditional rules? Are they going to stick with the XFL rules? And then, of course, so many of the Battlehawks have been signed in the NFL. We're not getting that many players back. So it's going to be a fascinating year. All right, still ahead here. President Biden says, hey, America's on the upswing. Happy New Year. Everybody be optimistic. Are you?
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
No, you guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
With Old Man Winter blowing into the heartland, let me tell you, Hanson's Tree Service is here to help. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Look them up 24/7 at hansonstree.com. Do you have any tree problems at your home or your business? Overhanging branches? Have Hanson's and the gang take them down professionally so Old Man Winter doesn't. What about organic mulch? Hanson's Tree has got that in bulk. It'll save you in price and time, incredibly convenient. Protect all those assets you've got in the ground and have Hanson's take care of everything above the ground for you as well. Get them out to your homestead or your business right now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Vincent's Jewelers carries a full selection of lab-grown diamonds and jewelry containing lab-grown diamonds. Lab-grown diamonds are a great alternative to natural mined diamonds. They have the same physical, chemical characteristics of a traditional diamond. Beauty, durability you want, but at a 70 to 90% discount. See them in person at Vincent's and at vincentsjewelers.com. vincentsjewelers.com. SportsCenter.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege. Alan Dershowitz, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Hey, I know how to talk Brooklyn Italian. I grew up with Brooklyn Italians. All of my friends grew up in Sicily. We know what to say.
Let me give you a word and see how you say it, okay? Some people would say mozzarella. How would you say that?
I never had it. It wasn't kosher.
Okay.
So forget about it.
Wow, this is great.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Ukraine's two largest cities have come under Russian hypersonic missile attack. Ukrainian President Zelensky says 4 civilians were killed, 92 injured in the capital, Kiev, and in northeastern Kharkiv. Close to 400 people on board a Japan Airlines plane that caught fire on the runway of a Tokyo airport safely evacuated the aircraft. No one was hurt. The jetliner had apparently collided with a Japanese Coast Guard plane. Japanese media report 5 crew members from the Coast Guard plane were killed. Immigration, an issue of growing concern for voters of both parties, according to the findings of a new AP-NORC poll.
Overall, the December poll found the concerns about immigration climbed to 35% from 27% the previous year. 55% of Republicans say the government needs to focus on immigration, up from 45% in December 2022. Meanwhile, 22% of Democrats listed immigration as a priority, up from 14% the previous year.
Correspondent Edwin Mora. A New Jersey mayor says busloads of illegal aliens bound for New York City are being dropped off at train stations in his town.
Secaucus Mayor Michael Ganelli says the buses are stopping in his city in an apparent effort to evade an executive order by New York's mayor trying to regulate how and when migrants can be dropped off in the city. Ganelli called the tactical loophole by bus operators and says state police reported that migrants are being dropped at train stations throughout New Jersey. Democratic mayors have already spent hundreds of millions of dollars to house, transport, and provide medical care for migrants being shipped from Texas and other states. I'm Norman Hall.
Stock futures lower on this first trading day of the new year. The Dow futures down 164 points. NASDAQ futures off 156. More on these stories at townhall.com.
In Dinesh D'Souza's new blockbuster movie, Police State exposes the government's plot to control MAGA conservatives.
These are anti-government.
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech.
Violent extremists, and they must be dealt with.
MAGA Republicans threaten the very foundation of our republic.
Mass surveillance, censorship, and armed attacks. There's nowhere to hide.
FBI, we have an arrest warrant.
15 marked units on my property.
Military-styled soldiers pointing an automatic rifle at my head.
Are we becoming a police state?
It may be the Russia other people grew up in, but not my America.
Directed by Dinesh D'Souza, Debbie D'Souza, and Bruce Shuley, Police State sounds the alarm.
What we need is a person, and then we go find out what crime you did.
How did we give the state this kind of power?
Police State, they have their lists. Are you next?
If they're coming for me, they're coming for you.
Police State. Buy it or stream it now at salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice to have some sunshine back in the area. We're also tapping into a light but warmer flow out of the south and southwest. So, a more comfortable day. A high of about 47 after a chilly start. Upper 30s and dry this evening. Just some high, thin clouds. Down to 28 for the low tonight. Dry Wednesday and Thursday, too. Highs in the low 40s. And still watching for some light rain this weekend that could mix with light snow. Doesn't look like travel will be impacted, but a little minor accumulation on grass is possible. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
It's all talk.
We can have a conversation, okay?
Enough with the lies. We need the facts.
101.9 and 94.1.
Our country, there are a lot of problems.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up!
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up!
Okay, quick question. Are you coming into the new year optimistically or pessimistically, or maybe a little bit of both?
Definitely a bit of both. I'm actually struggling with my. I'm trying to counteract my typical pessimism with a little bit of optimism, just because I'm not sure I can survive the doom that my brain has concocted for 2024.
How about you, Stel?
My meter is leaning definitely towards pessimistic.
See, and I think that's what's happening in the country. I think that's what's happening throughout St. Louis as well. I think, with the new year, and I'll get to this here in a second, but first of all, I don't think New Year's resolutions are as much of a thing anymore.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. But I do think that people, while a lot of times you want to refresh around the first of the year.
Yeah.
You're like, great, clean slate, let's start over, especially after the last few years of just everything being horrible. Remember 2020 was just a terrible year? Everybody's like, go away 2020, nobody likes you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had, the shutdowns and everything that went along. Well, we had shutdowns in 2020.
But
and
they came back with a vengeance in 21.
And
felt
so,
like, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, and then the economy we're being told is great, guys, everybody go buy stocks and buy stuff. and Americans are like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
8:05, actually, we're going to talk to Greg McBride from Bankrate.com, and they did a survey. They're not a political organization, and they did a survey, and Americans are like, I think I'm going to end 2024 worse off than I am right now.
Man,
that's what the survey says.
That's wild.
That's damning.
Very.
For policymakers right now. By the way, what time? 6:07 right now. 6:07. Okay, still ahead here. New year, same illegal immigration problems, other than it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So more. Okay, guess who the leftists are
gosh.
blaming for this? This is amazing.
Okay, so they've got a new scapegoat now.
Sort of. Yeah, but
All
620.
right.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
They're assuming that they acknowledge that there's actually a problem.
Yes. Well, there's a problem in their town.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They are acknowledging it, and they're shifting the blame to someone else, and you might know who it is, Gabe.
Oh, yeah.
It's someone further south.
I think I got it.
It's just ridiculous. Okay. By the way, real quick, Stella and I have been on vacation over the last week and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
I hoard my days off until the end of the year, and so I just used them and took the Friday off before Christmas, and then all of last week, obviously. By the way, thank you so much to Susie Moore and Rob Carter for filling in. I hear they did a great job, but I truly unplugged.
As did Gabe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Oh, so you were there.
Oh, yeah. I was there throughout. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, awesome. So I make it a point to, at this point in my life, I just decompress and unplug on my vacation. I told Rachel, said by Tuesday, my goal is to be woefully ignorant of anything happening.
Yes.
Other than the hot stove rumors on baseball and the trade. Like
there you go.
Chris Sale going to the Braves, that sort of thing. Yamamoto not coming to the Cardinals. I mean, so I really think everybody should do that from time to time.
And we've talked about that, how, you really need a holiday to unplug and just, it's like, okay, I'm going to set this down. I'm going to stop doom scrolling on Twitter. I'm just going to engage real life and not get stuck in the sort of cycle that you get through the news.
Yeah, I'll be really honest. I missed both of you guys an awful lot, but I didn't miss the news cycle.
Oh gosh, yes,
at all.
Same.
Now we're in the new year. It's an election year. We're in it, head first.
Here it
so
comes.
I got to get caught up a little bit. But I people go away on vacation, and there's like at times over the years I've had listeners like, okay, going on vacation, and I'm going to be listening to your app when I'm in Florida. I'm like, don't
do that.
Go
Don't.
see a show. Go watch a game. Go to the beach.
It's actually against our interest to tell you not to listen to us.
I know, exactly.
But seriously, when you're on vacation, stop.
Yeah, decompress.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I think it was good for me as well.
And for those of us who work in media, we know that the holidays are goofy listening periods. So we understand if you leave us for a few days, that's fine, because we've left us for a few days.
That's
right. just come back.
Okay.
right.
So speaking of the year, 2024, new year, election year, still dealing with an iffy economy. We talked about the optimism, pessimism, at best a mixture. I think a lot of people are, feeling that way. So on New Year's Rockin' Eve, ABC still does that.
Oh, yeah,
The
that's
old
right.
Dick Clark show. I think it's, what's his name? Ryan Seacrest, I think, still
Yeah,
does
I
that.
think he took over.
I don't know. I was in bed by 11. So. But President Biden did an interview on New Year's Rockin' Eve, and to him, he says, no, things are on the upswing.
We brought a lot of jobs back to the United States. People are in a position to be able to make a living now.
Okay, so is this the trope we're going to hear? Boy, we brought these jobs back. Things are okay. The jobs were killed off by government for years. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're still he's still taking credit for the post-COVID recovery, which was inevitable because an economy this size with these numbers of people, it's and the jobs killed by the mandates and all these other things, the shutdowns, they were going to come back necessarily. Some level of them was going to come back because people had to work, people got to eat, people got to make money, and the types who produce in our country, they're going to produce. If you unleash them, they naturally produce. It's just how they do. So the economy was going to come back, probably to about the level it currently is. But the thing is, the level it currently is was supposed to be what it was back in 2020. So we're kind of on the backswing here. We're a little late and behind the game. And there are a lot of things that are still weird about our economy. And it's come through in the surveys that says people don't like where they are right now.
And it's not even just economy. I think you look at all the culture war stuff that's been happening over the last 2 years in particular. We've had culture war stuff since the 50s. But the last 2 years in particular, and how extreme and how crazy it's gotten, I think that there's a pessimism about our country being a united country.
Yes.
Not just United States. I mean, but I would argue we don't have one American culture. We have regional cultures, but we've always tried to maintain that we are one nation. I don't know that people really feel like we are one nation right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't. I mean, and we're talking basically about society as a whole, as a unified entity in the world. Right. And you can't. It used to be that regardless of a lot of these political divisions, a lot of your race, creed, color, those type of things, you could unite under the banner of the American flag. As a symbol of us as a people. And there's a shared culture on some level. The Venn diagram crosses in a lot of ways across the board, at back in the 80s and 90s, essentially. That's kind of my ideal period. But since then, those Venn diagrams have been drifting further and further apart. There's less and less that actually we agree on, even at fundamental levels.
Yeah, matter of fact, in about an hour or so, did you hear about this new law in California? Where retailers, if you sell toys.
Oh, I saw this.
Did you see this, Del?
I did see a headline of it, yes.
Yeah, if you sell toys in California as of right now, you cannot have a boys section or a girls section. Everything must be gender neutral.
It's so stupid.
So let me tie this into what we were just talking about here. That's the culture war stuff. But this also shows when we're talking about small government and big government, this isn't just about how much money are we going to spend on welfare. This isn't going to be just about how high are the tax rates. If you want to equip government to run our everything, this is what you get.
Yeah, this is the big government social engineering that the left has been doing for a great long time.
Yeah. So 7:05, we'll have that conversation. I mentioned a little bit ago, one thing I've seen less and less of the last couple of years?
What's that?
New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Did you make any?
Not really.
I didn't. I didn't last year either.
I mean, Janet and I always have a sit down because, our January 1st is our anniversary, right? So we usually,
Which, by the way, happy anniversary.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
had a good time over at Ameristar. We didn't waste too much money.
Good.
But we always sit down as we're eating that meal on that day and say, okay, what are our goals as a family, as a couple, for the following year? They're not so much resolutions as, okay, we're in this together. We're pulling the cart together. We're equally yoked here. So which direction are we going?
Yeah.
That's more of a reality check, I think, more so than a resolution exchange.
Yeah, and I mean, Rachel and I, we try to talk, every Saturday. We have kind of a standing appointment to talk about our finances and like, where are we? What are the bills? What do we need to do? And so we've got a few of the, our new will and estate plan is, we've got to sign off on it. We've been working with a really good lawyer on that for months now.
Good.
And so, we've got all of these things that were going on, but we just didn't do like any resolutions.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. I mean,
there used to be really big stories about that. Every year there used to be really gigantic stories, and the sales would always go crazy for gym equipment and home like yoga mats and hand weights. They'd be all they'd have a whole section over at Aldi for that thing. I mean, maybe it's just I'm not paying attention. Maybe they still do that type of stuff. I mean, gym memberships still do go up this month, but it used to be a much bigger deal.
What do you think's changed because I think I haven't seen as many of those stories. I'm sure that the health industry stuff sales spike right now. I'm sure that still happens.
Sure.
But what do you think it is if we're right? If there aren't as many New Year's resolutions, could that be connected to the optimism, pessimism thing, or do you think it's just running its course?
That's an interesting question.
I think there is a subtle connection there, and I think there may also be, and this is going to sound kind of weird, a subtle connection to what happened with the pandemic. And I think that,
I think you could be right about that. I
thought
about that too.
Yeah.
I think the viewpoints that folks have and the emotional stability that they have was really pushed to the limit during that 2-year period that we went through. That's hard to believe now, looking back on it, that we suffered through that for as long as we did.
You can only beat people down for so long. I mean, we're a resilient country. We always have been. We've come back from a lot. But 2.5 years of just being thumped and beaten down and divided, and you're killing grandma and you're all this kind of stuff. I mean,
meanwhile, we're sending you money. The government's sending you money to stay home. And now, I don't know about you guys, but when I drove around town here the last couple of days, especially out in the area where we live, there are still tons of job opening signs.
Yep.
Oh, everywhere
I look, there's now hiring.
$15 minimum. They're advertising in the windows of the it's not a sign. The entire window is like a mural to the fact that they need workers.
And for whatever reason, we just don't have that American oomph again.
And I think that relates back to your comment, Gabe, about the numbers aren't matching up.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this has something to do with basically the three years worth of new adults who've entered the workforce who were demoralized in school.
Yeah.
You've got basically kids in high school, kids in college who in the formative years they were coming through and they were squashed by all of this, and then just the general mental illness issues.
Yeah, and not just on their academics, but like I said, like people. This was huge. When we fought back against Sam Page, we weren't just fighting against those cloth and paper masks.
Yeah.
We were fighting for far much more, and I think now we're realizing how much more that was. Which, by the way, if it's a 2024, if you're still walking around with a mask on, you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you do. I saw some people at church this Sunday walking around with a mask, and I'm like, you look like an idiot.
I saw a few at the casino.
Wow.
Now, maybe it was the smoke. The cigarette smoke.
All right, guess whose fault it is that some cities are having problems with illegal immigrants?
Well, it's not Joe Biden's, right?
No! Of course not.
Yeah.
I'll tell you whose it is just ahead right here. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the
know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way that restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your healthcare. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I don't know if folks can see your Christmas
my sweatshirt.
Yeah,
I got
that's pretty awesome.
I got
really awesome.
For Christmas, my my wife and my brother got me a striper sweatshirt. I'm like, I'm wearing that on the first day back. So if you want to see that on camera, just go to Rumble or Facebook or Twitter, and we're there. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm wearing that.
Oh, it shows up nicely on the camera.
There it is.
Absolutely.
There it is. Gotta love me some striper. Okay, Democratic mayors have had it.
So they're so mad. They're big mad.
Yeah, with the conservatives who are causing the illegal immigration chaos in their cities.
Excuse me, what?
I know. Yeah, I didn't know if you'd catch that part or not.
Wait a minute. Roll that back.
Give me a second here.
Okay.
Okay, by the way, speaking of the streaming audio, obviously we're on video. I just mentioned Rumble and Facebook and everything. Say hi to us. I will tell you by 6:50, I want to know, what is your bold prediction for 2024? We have our bold predictions for 2024. Mm-hmm. They can be about anything, but if you want to call in at 6:50, we'll do that. You can also send them to us now on social media. And, of course, we've got the streaming app as well. That's free. Mm-hmm. Any Play Store that you want. It's free. Not a lot of memory. Downloads real quick, so check that out. Okay, let's see here. Get this. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is going after Greg Abbott. Governor Greg Abbott in Texas.
Of course, it's his fault.
Right. The mayor is mad at Governor Abbott for busing illegal immigrants up to Chicago.
You can't do that.
Yeah, dumping them in Chicago and making it their problem. So the mayor is saying that this is causing chaos nationwide. Not that their illegal immigrants are coming across the border,
right?
But that Republican governors are sending them to deep blue cities like Chicago. That's what's causing the chaos.
Well, not just deep blue cities, but self-described sanctuary cities. It's
exactly.
It's like you said you wanted this.
Yes.
You said, hey, immigrants are our strength, and everybody should be welcomed, and anybody can do this. You made big, lofty speeches about how welcoming we must be to the illegal immigrants. Well, be welcoming then.
Yeah. Well, not that welcoming. We just want to take pictures.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we don't want to pay for all that stuff.
Gosh, no.
So National Border Patrol Council Vice President Art Del Cueto was on Fox News Live, and he responds to Mayor Brandon Johnson's criticisms as, you know who you should be blaming?
Every single year that this administration has been in office, the numbers keep going bigger and bigger. Every year is a new record number, and continuously, frankly, every month and every week is a new record number. And that's who the finger needs to be pointed at, because you're seeing way too many individuals that are coming across from all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so wild that they can do this, the sort of mental gymnastics it takes to feel comfortable saying such a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I would I have to believe the things that come out of my mouth. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird that way. But so do you think they actually go through like the gymnastics to try and convince themselves of it, or are they just straight up lying? They know they're lying.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Hey, leftist friends. I mean, I'm not kidding. Give me a call. 314-912-1019. I'm not going to bash you or make fun of you, but I'm curious.
I want to understand.
Yeah. Do like Mayor Brandon Johnson, do the other leftists, Kathy Hochul, Eric Adams in New York City. I mean, at some point it's going to be Tashara Jones here in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
They're literally working on a plan to try to get some of these illegals to St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want some of those problems.
Right.
Because we don't have enough problems.
Of course, they're arguing like, well, no, they're not illegals because the Biden administration gave them a piece of paper after they crossed the border illegally. So therefore, they're not illegal.
Yeah. They have a document.
But do you actually, or do they actually believe? Because I was wondering the same thing. When they sit there and say this chaos, their words, by the way, that's Brandon Johnson's word, chaos. They're saying it's caused by the Texas governor and the Florida governor shipping these illegals up to their city. That's causing the chaos nationwide.
Right.
Without saying that the wave, the tsunami that continues to run across the border, that has apparently nothing to do with the chaos.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I don't understand. I do not understand, because you have to completely divorce yourself from reality to get beyond the fact that they're coming into the country illegally to begin with, to be able to be transported. And so do they think that the towns in Texas are more capable of absorbing all of these people? Is that it? Is it?
Well, they're just getting a taste of what they're dealing with. I mean, they're just getting a small sample.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Of what these cities are dealing with. But the bottom line is their bluff was called, their tough talk was called, their virtue signaling was called out, and they are the emperor with no clothes.
Absolutely.
Let me give you two little side angles to this. One is we had college friends of ours from St. Louis U who now live in San Antonio. They've lived there for years. They were here for Christmas break. Yeah, you would believe, I want to say you wouldn't believe, but yeah, you would believe some of the stories of issues that they've had to deal with in San Antonio. So that's one issue there with Texas. The other one is, especially in my case, I rode Abbott's butt at the beginning for how weak his response was. I got to give him some props here over the last few weeks for creativity, because now they are flying on charter planes, some of those folks to Rockford, and then putting them on buses. To get them into Chicago, and then dropping off some of those folks in some of the suburbs before they get into downtown Chicago. Well, now that's pretty creative. And on the New York City side, they're putting some in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
And then letting them get on trains,
get on the
20-minute ride into New York City. Well, now we're getting a little creative here.
Well, and of course, Texas now also has that law where it's now a crime to cross illegally into Texas.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the Biden administration is threatening to sue the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So they are literally
so crazy.
They won't use any meaningful resources to stop the wave of illegal immigrants coming in, but they will use federal resources to sue the state that's trying to stop it. Matter of fact, I guess this was, this is Ken Paxton. He was on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend, responding to the Biden administration's warning that they are going to take the state of Texas to federal court if the state of Texas tries to stop illegal immigrants from coming into the country. Here's what the Attorney General had to say.
They're actually helping aid and abet the cartels, and then Texas says, we've had enough, we're going to do something about it, and then they threaten us from enforcing our own laws. It seems pretty crazy, and it's hard to believe that we have a government that is working against its own citizens and helping the cartels move as many people across the border as possible.
It's pretty wild that, let's say it's a neighborhood, right? You got all kinds of people just kind of flooding your neighborhood. They're setting up camps in people's yards and stuff like that. And you say, you know what? I'm going to take at least some measure of matters into my own hands. Is like, if somebody comes into my yard, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to get them out of my yard. And then the government comes through and they says, you can't do that.
Right.
It's like, whoa. Hold on. This is my yard. I'm sovereign here. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? So we're talking about the United States of America. The state is actually supposed to be the central governmental element in the way we structure our government. It's a sovereign state that has agreed to abide by the Constitution with the other states. So how is the federal government going to say, yeah, you can't protect your own backyard? It doesn't make any sense.
And you know what? Ken Paxton almost got kicked out of office a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And the Republicans were the dominant ones trying to kick him out of office. Again, proving that there's a uniparty that we're trying to deal with. They're trying to kick him out of office. Fortunately, he was able to remain in office. But now I hope people are catching on. Oh, wow, they tried to kick him out of office. And now he's fighting, trying to keep the state safe. And now you can kind of see the connection there between trying to kick him out of office and now we see what he's trying to do to help the state.
Yeah, and this is a law that those lawmakers passed.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got Governor Abbott and Paxton backing him with the buoys in the Rio Grande as well. And every time they're doing something that might work, the Biden administration throws a hissy fit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's the thing. There is a chance that the courts are going to say, yeah, immigration is a federal issue. That's Washington, D.C. The states don't have any
jurisdiction thing, yeah.
It's absolutely possible, that's how the courts are going to rule. But the point is that the Biden administration isn't just sitting on their butts. The Biden administration is actively, like the Attorney General Paxton just said, actively aiding and abetting the cartels. We're talking the narcotics cartels. We're talking about the weapons cartels. We're talking about the human trafficking cartels. We're talking about all of these who are benefiting from the Biden administration's extremism in promoting illegal immigration. And that's the only way you can look at this.
Yeah, there's no other way.
Yeah. 314-912-1019. And obviously this is an election year.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things that Republicans need to put on the ballot.
Oh, it needs to be a huge thing. The economy and immigration.
This is what they need to be talking about.
Yes.
But we're going to be overwhelmed with election stuff. I mean, it's 2024 year. It's the election year.
This is the year.
We're picking a president this year.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's talk about how to get involved, how to not get involved, and how to not let other people pressure you so you don't break yourself with other people's expectations, because there are some people that just expect every waking moment, you need to be fighting for this. Well, yeah, fight for something, but if you want to stay home and go get a pizza,
that's allowed.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that right around 6:34 on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Now the musical stylings of Striper.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
As we wrap up 2023, we look to 2024 and what the future holds. Good, bad, and the ugly.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice to have some sunshine back in the area. We're also tapping into a light but warmer flow out of the south and southwest. So, a more comfortable day. A high of about 47 after a chilly start. Upper 30s and dry this evening. Just some high, thin clouds. Down to 28 for the low tonight. Dry Wednesday and Thursday, too. Highs in the low 40s. And still watching for some light rain this weekend that could mix with light snow. Doesn't look like travel will be impacted, but a little minor accumulation on grass is possible. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. We have an exciting new training opportunity available for public school and Christian school teachers. The Herzog Foundation Institute has partnered with the Bill of Rights Institute to offer 4 training events in 4 Missouri cities this year. These day-long professional development opportunities are best suited for middle and high school civics, government, U.S. history, and social studies teachers. Middle and high school teachers have a unique opportunity to strengthen civic knowledge and values for the next generation. We want to help teachers seize this opportunity.
Visit herzogfoundation.com/events to learn more and register for a Bill of Rights Institute training event near you. HerzogFoundation.com/events. HerzogFoundation.com/events.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Man, Ember, this song is forever sealed.
Mm-hmm. Love this tune.
Man.
Haven't heard this in ages.
Is this early 90s? I want to say
This is
probably my college years.
92?
91.
91, okay.
Yeah, good guess.
I was off
Yeah.
a little bit.
All right, so how to be involved in this election year without getting overwhelmed and burned out. Happy 2024, by the way.
Yeah.
There are people probably already burned out of the politics. I get it.
There's a moment in Lord of the Rings where they're being overwhelmed by the orc army,
Yeah.
and the king is just standing there at the wall looking at the armies out there, and he says, "So it begins." And that's how I feel.
Well, this is kind of related. Rebecca on Rumble says, I think the left has made self-improvement a sign of oppression. The left wants us to wallow in our lesser selves.
Wow.
I don't think she's wrong about that.
She is not wrong. That's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, by the way, what are your bold predictions for 2024? Tell me. We're going to give you some of ours at 6:50, but I'll watch Rumble. You got Facebook and Twitter. And then, Stell, I think you get like an aggregate of a
You
bunch
kinda get
of
all
them.
of them,
So
don't you?
if somebody does
I do.
Instagram or whatever, what's your bold prediction? Or you can call us at 314-912-1019. We'll talk about that right around 6:50. Okay, so election year, which means everything's going to be nuts. It's going to be easy to get overwhelmed.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, and there are going to be people who like work for one campaign or one party or whatever the case is, and they don't understand why you are not so fired up like them, and why you are not, getting involved in that campaign.
You need to be turned up to 11.
Yeah.
And constantly doing campaign stuff according to these people.
Okay, so first, let me just put this out there. Question everything that gets thrown at you on social media.
Oh gosh.
Everything.
Every single thing. Actually, you can almost not barely believe your eyes if you see video or pictures or things like that, because the AI stuff, that's another thing. I think that's going to start changing elections in a large part these days.
I think so too. Matter of fact, the Chief Justice John Roberts, actually, there was a story about him over the weekend. Him addressing, saying, "We don't have a handle on AI." Now, here's the other thing: is that there are times when something is said in a rally or a debate, or the phone calls that are recorded, and even there are times when the candidates will say, "Yeah, that's real," but don't just blanket believe anything.
Right. Yeah. Anybody can say anything on the internet.
And that goes for Republicans or Democrats
as
well, because Republicans will get just as nasty as Democrats in a primary race. So that's the first thing I'm going to throw out there. Take nothing for granted in politics. I am so sick of every pundit out there saying, And so many other politicians are like, yeah, well, the nomination is over. I'm like, no, it's not.
I haven't gotten the vote
It's
yet.
not one single vote has been cast yet. Stop trying to convince people to not be involved. Okay. Is Donald Trump, the leading, I'm sure he is. I'm sure that I don't believe, the surveys. I think their numbers are crap, but do I think if there is an accurate survey, show him in first place? Yeah, I'm sure that there's no question about that. But to say that this is completely over already, I've actually heard people like, for instance, Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, goes,
Yeah.
you know what? It's just time to be done with this and just coalesce around Donald Trump. I'm like, not one single vote has been cast. Not one.
That's my major thing. It's like, okay, I get it. It's part of the electioneering thing, as part of the, the momentum building. You want to support your candidate. I get that. But the thing is, the way our system is set up, I get a say.
Right.
So I'm kind of taking it personally. Maybe I shouldn't take it personally, but I'm taking it a little personal.
Yeah.
I get a say one way or the other. Maybe my candidate wins, maybe my candidate loses, but I get a say. So I want my say to count.
Well, and Missouri is now a caucus state.
Yeah.
And so it kind of hits me a little bit different now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically we've always been a caucus state, but we used a primary before.
Yeah.
Now it's just a caucus.
Right.
So what's happening is there are probably a lot of people who may support somebody other than Donald Trump, and they're saying, well, I guess there's no point in me, showing up and being part of the process. No, show up.
Absolutely.
And if you're, somebody who supports Donald Trump, you're saying, oh, he's got this in the bag. There's no reason for me to show up and be part of the process.
No, show up.
Show up and be part of the process.
Absolutely.
That's the best. That's how it works. And that's how it works, honestly. So let's look at this. Realities of Missouri and Illinois. Okay, so unless one candidate just runs away with the first 4 or 5 early states,
mm-hmm.
it's possible that in March, Missouri's caucuses will actually be maybe a second-tier player and actually have an influence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll know more then. In the general election, and this is what people don't like me saying this, whomever the Republicans nominate is going to win Missouri by 9, 10, 12, 14 points.
Easily.
Maybe more.
Clearly.
Regardless of who it is.
Right.
I don't think they're going to nominate Nikki Haley, but even she would win by 10 points, maybe 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
She might win by a bigger margin. In Illinois, whoever the Democrats nominate will win by 5, 6, 7, 8 points. Just the way it is.
Yeah, that's just kind of how the demographics are built right now.
That means that, first of all, the primary races on the Missouri side are crucial.
Yeah.
On the Republican side.
That is the race.
Right. That really is the race. Now, we have a U.S. Senate race coming up this year. Josh Hawley's getting reelected.
Yeah, he's not losing that one.
Josh, you still need to buy a bunch of advertising on News Talk STL,
Yeah, please.
but he's going to win.
Talk to us.
Okay. Here's the other part. We got these statewide races. The race for governor, more than any other race, is a race to define who Republican voters want the Republican Party to be.
Yes, in our state, and yes, and in many ways, what our legislative priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got some interesting choices, coming up. So
we very different choices.
We need to make our voices heard, especially in that race. So that's the down ballot stuff kind of gets lost in the presidential years, but you got to pay attention. That's the stuff that hits you the hardest, and also you're building the bench for the federal stuff in the future.
Well, without a doubt, and I guess this is one of the things, because you're absolutely right about that. Listen, none of the congressional seats are going to change hands in Missouri. Now, in Illinois, they might. Because they have gerrymandered like crazy in some of those districts.
Yeah, it looks like spaghetti.
It's possible, yeah. But on the Missouri side, every incumbent's going to win re-election.
Yes.
It's
kind of built that way.
I say that other than in the 1st district in St. Louis, because it's possible Wesley Bell could beat Cori Bush in the primary.
That's true.
But the Democrats are going to hold on to that seat.
Yeah, because Cori Bush is a horrible person.
Yes.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing is we do too often see people say, yeah, let's get these people in statewide office, then they're ready for the federal. Listen, if somebody's really, really good, there's an argument to be made. Let's keep them in Jefferson City.
Yeah, they could have an outsized influence on the direction of the state that way, if they're really, really good, right? As opposed to having a diminished role at the federal level. So, yeah, there are definitely arguments to keep some of our really, really good people at these lower levels. I remember having that discussion with Attorney General
Andrew Bailey.
No, who was the previous? Schmidt.
Oh, Eric Schmidt. Yeah,
Schmidt. Yeah. It was, my wife were having this discussion. It's like, oh wow, Schmidt would make a great, federal officer. It's like, but who are we gonna get right now? He's just like, he's doing such a bang up job. It's like we kind of don't want to give him up. I think we kind of got lucky. We lucked out that Bailey is so good. We maintained the status quo. We moved some people up, and that was really good. But there is an argument to be made that some of these really, really good people, these statewide offices, probably need to stay put for the good of the state.
And with the Republican primary for governor, Mike Kehoe, the lieutenant governor, Jay Ashcroft, the secretary of state, and also Bill Eigel, the state senator, you've got three very different Republican candidates. Very different.
Yes.
Mike Kehoe has been in the state senate. He's been the lieutenant governor. Mike Kehoe is a very smart guy. All three of these candidates are really smart guys. He's very much that get stuff done, Chamber of Commerce type of Republican, very sort of pragmatic. Jay Ashcroft and Bill Eigel, I would argue, are more conservative.
Yeah.
Bill Eigel being part of the Freedom Caucus that's being formed and will officially announce this week. And then, of course, Jay Ashcroft, who's on News Talk STL all the time. He's also very conservative. So I think like really, really hardcore conservatives can look at Jay Ashcroft and Bill Eigel and go, oh, boy, I really got to think about this.
Right.
And that's fair. And, Mike Kehoe, I'm not saying he's a liberal. He's not, but he's not as conservative as the other two. So Republican voters, you're deciding who and what the GOP is going to be for the next several years.
Yeah, I mean, and the influence goes beyond even legislation. Like you said, it's terms of GOP, right? Your influence when you hold a big office like that, you hold an outsized influence on what happens. And we've seen what happens when a governor is pulling back.
Yeah.
Right. Parson was good, I think, earlier on when I think he seemed more engaged, I'll say, at least. But these days he just seems to have, gone to a basement campaign, do nothing, just, don't make any waves, don't make any statements, and I guess don't sign anything. He's like
I think that Mike Parson was the right guy to deal with the fallout from Eric Greitens' malfeasance.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because he's the right personality. You realize that at some point, other than auditor, almost every office changed hands with different appointments. Mike Parson appointed more statewide officials than any governor in the history of Missouri.
And I'm pretty sure like all of those appointments turned out to be pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
appreciate that.
Yeah. So on that part, he did well. But also keep in mind, Mike Parson also issued a statewide stay-at-home order that was blatantly unconstitutional and violated our freedoms, and it was big government.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I think that since then, he's taken a much better and a correct approach. But also, we've had tax increases on gas and things that have happened as well. So I like Mike Parson personally. I've interviewed him a number of times, but I'm ready to get somebody more conservative in there.
Yes, and more I'll say activist.
Yes. And so here's the last part. I know we just got a minute or so left here. Be involved in whatever level works for you. If you're like, screw this partisan stuff, then don't do it. Don't make anybody guilt you into joining a campaign,
right?
Or spending your personal time away from your kids to do that. But also keep in mind your school board races, your city council races, your mayoral races, your library district races. Those are ones that get neglected. And you want to talk, Gabe, about things that really affect your local community?
There it is.
There they are.
Yeah.
So I would say be involved in those, or if you live in like a deep blue area like I do in Richmond Heights, I look up the candidates, and every year I'm like, that's what I got to choose from. Okay.
Yeah, I think there is a minimum level of involvement in politics. Yes. You have to generally have an idea of who you want to vote for, who who's going to be good for your various areas, and actually get out and vote, please.
Yeah.
Every once in a while,
especially in April.
Oh my gosh, these off-year elections, every time I go in and there's like nobody there, I'm so angry. I have a visceral reaction to the emptiness, as convenient as it is.
Okay, you got any bold predictions for 2024?
I think I do.
Let's have some bold predictions. Let me know, 314-912-1019. Send them our way on social media. We'll go around the room here. What are your bold predictions for 2024?
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
But we're never gonna survive
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Are you a natural leader driven by the desire to make a lasting impact? Is your deepest calling to be an elected official making a real difference? Now, picture yourself with the power to shape the future in St. Louis City. St. Louis needs your leadership now more than ever. The urgency is real. The Republican Party, City of St. Louis can help you file, be your guiding force, and support you during the campaign. Contact stlouisrepublicans.com and step into your destiny.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Colombo and Katie.
Dr. Bob Onder.
I think there are different lessons to be taken away from each race. I would say about political campaigns, it's important to remember, although it would seem sometimes the times are with you, the issues are with you, the state of affairs are with you. Sometimes winning elections is about simple blocking and tackling, fundraising, getting out the vote.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, what's your bold prediction or predictions for 2024? We're going to start there. Gabe, you're up first on this, okay?
All right.
All right, and also protecting your right to a rear view mirror air freshener, but taking away your right to keep and bear arms. Ah, yes, Illinois.
What?
Yeah, so 720, there's a whole bunch of new laws that went into effect this week in Illinois. We'll have the update on those new laws of the east side of the News Talk STL area. All
Sounds
right.
like an exploration of the dumb.
Yes, deep dive into
the
it.
deep dive into dumb.
Okay, it's a new year, so what's going to happen? Bold 2024 predictions. Gabe, give me one.
I think the popping of the higher education bubble is going to begin.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's going to be a slow motion pop as opposed to what the housing market did, where it just kind of imploded all at once, and we kind of all got screwed over. But because of the way it's cyclical, because of school years and things like that, enrollment and all that, I think we're going to see the slow roll of the decline in higher education the way it currently stands.
Yeah, there's my wife who is a higher education. She's a university professor and an assistant dean. And she's been saying for years, higher ed's got a day of reckoning coming. So I'm hearing you say
2024 is when it starts.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think the first dominoes are going to start falling. I think this whole President Gay thing.
Yeah, Claudine Gay.
Claudine Gay at
Ivy League stuff.
Yeah.
At the Claudia. At the Ivy League. I think that's going to be a big turning point. She's got 50 new plagiarism allegations.
Yeah.
There's a whistleblower who was tried to be silenced. All kinds of stuff. That's going down.
Yeah. The Poison Ivy League.
The Poison Ivy. Nice.
I like that. My prediction, and not so bold on the election side, Trump gets a nomination. My bold prediction: Vivek winds up being the vice presidential.
That would be
candidate.
that would be something. Along those lines, Laura just sent in on Rumble. She said, we wake up on November 6th and President Trump reveals that America was asleep for the past 4 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
That's her bold prediction right there. All right, did you have another one?
Well, we got one from Don.
Oh, great. Yeah,
on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll give that to you real quick. He says he thinks Biden is going to be impeached. We'll see Kamala move up, but then Newsom's going to step in to replace Biden. And then the Chinese will help him get elected.
Whoa.
Newsom, you mean Newsom?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I don't see the impeachment side of it, but I think it is possible that Biden doesn't finish out the year as president. The Democrats really want Gavin Newsom to be president.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been. I was asked about those predictions too. So I don't think Biden makes it to the 2024 ballot.
Yeah. My first bold prediction is that protests around the United States will become violent again.
That's one of
And
my
I mean seriously violent. I don't
one of my
mean
doom ones.
I don't mean scuffles with police. I don't mean drivers jumping out and dragging people. I mean violent.
Yeah.
Again, I desperately hope I'm wrong, and I hope at the end of this year you can laugh at me for making such a terrible prediction. But that's my prediction: is that protests become violent and deadly again in the United States.
And in light of that, I say it's going to be a chaotic year.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really rough one. I actually, along those lines, similarly, I think there is going to be an act of terrorism that's going to capture headlines, probably around summer.
Oh man,
that's what
like
I'm thinking.
A Black Swan event.
Maybe like a Black Swan event. Yeah,
Because if there is, I don't think it'll be like what we see around the world or traditional. I don't think it's going to be something big going boom.
No, it's going to be a soft target attack of some sort. Yeah, and I think it's going to be the pro-Palestine people.
That is a very, very reasonable guess. And again, I hope you're dead wrong.
Oh gosh, I hope I'm wrong. Oh my gosh, I hope I'm wrong.
All right, got another bold prediction? It doesn't have to be dark and doomy or whatever.
Please.
It can be, but what's your next one?
I don't know. Maybe Taylor Swift breaks up with what's his name?
Oh yeah,
Travis Kelce.
Yes, Travis. Yeah.
Well, didn't the Chiefs already try to trade her for Selena Gomez?
Selena Gomez. They tried I think they did.
I think the Chiefs were a little upset at the losses.
Except it was a low ball offer though. The Swifties were upset.
And so trader for Selena Gomez and a Nickelodeon actor to be named later.
Later, exactly. A former Nick teen star.
What do you think, Stel? You got any others?
Well, I'm going to go back on the political side again.
Okay.
I think we're going to see the Democrats really zone in on calling Trump a dictator.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're going to see these movies be an important part of their indoctrination, the Civil War movie that's coming out.
Oh, I saw the preview for that this weekend or a few days ago. Rachel and I went and saw a movie. I saw that Civil War trailer movie, and I just went, Really?
Yeah, and combine that with the one that the Obamas were involved in, something about being left behind.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but it's a quote unquote post-apocalyptic, except it's basically just there's a major power outage essentially. Right. That's the best I can tell. And people who were out on vacation can't come back to their house and while it's being rented as an Airbnb, and I guess there's conflict between those people.
And I think Democrats will zone in on saying that's what's going to happen if you let Trump get elected.
Oh yeah, then the world's going to go to pot. Although you could tell that Civil War thing is fiction though, because they have Texas and California on the same side.
Well, we said the same thing. It was like we saw the president of whoever's playing the president was like, and this militia from Texas and California. We're like, no, those are the two states that would go to war, and Texas would kick their ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Texas would kill California.
Yeah.
Okay, last few seconds here. I've got one. Okay, so this is non-political here. I think by the end of the year that we get at least an announcement, unless this is all the way through, that if you want to watch Cardinals or Blues games, you will need to subscribe to a streaming service.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it's on cable or certainly not on broadcast television anymore. I think that they go directly to a subscription service that you buy through the NHL, MLB, or through the teams directly.
I think you're right.
I have a feeling that the regional cable thing is gonna fail.
Like the Yankees have with Yes?
Yes,
and the Cubs with Marquee?
Yep.
All right.
That's what I think, except there won't be anything over the year. I think you want to watch a Cardinals game, you're going to have to pay a monthly subscription fee. Maybe to MLB, maybe to the Cardinals, maybe something like that. That's my prediction. That's how I think it's changing.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice
for conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
News, analysis, and opinion.
It's absolutely unacceptable that they couldn't unequivocally state, yes, it violates their student code of conduct.
1,000 a day is a lot. Border Patrol agents tell us that they can't physically handle more than 5,000.
We do live in difficult times as a country, but that's actually what guides me to run and hopefully reunite this country.
101.9 and 94.1.
My news station.
News Talk STL.
To our brave police officers and first responders, we say thank you for risking your lives to protect us. To all the incredible volunteers who've joined hands with the David Dorn Foundation to raise funds for equipment and services, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We stand strong with our volunteers who give their time, talent, and dedication as a shield of support for those who rush into danger. The David Dorn Foundation gives a big thank you from our heart to yours. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. Arat Tamasar. Intense fighting rages in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis after Israel said it's withdrawing thousands of troops from other areas of the territory. Some Senate Democrats are unhappy with President Biden for bypassing Congress to sell more weapons to Israel.
The president's request of $14 billion in aid to Israel is stalled on Capitol Hill, but the Biden administration went around Congress twice last month to help arm the Jewish state. Secretary of State Blinken made an emergency determination that allowed for the $148 million sale of equipment to Israel. Such determinations are rare, but not unprecedented. Several top Senate Democrats are slamming the White House for keeping Congress out of the process. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The death toll is 48 in the wake of a series of New Year's Day earthquakes that rattled Japan.
We are traveling towards the epicenter, and we keep coming across these areas of destruction where homes have been partially destroyed or some of them completely collapsed. Now, they tend to be these older homes that are made of wood, the houses that haven't been built to withstand these sort of earthquakes.
The BBC's Gene McKenzie. A Japan Airlines plane caught fire on a Tokyo runway after colliding with a Japanese Coast Guard aircraft. No injuries on the jetliner, but apparently 5 Coast Guard crew members were killed. Investigators in Rochester, New York, trying to figure out why an SUV involved in a deadly 2-vehicle crash early New Year's Day was carrying at least a dozen gasoline canisters. A fiery explosion outside a busy concert venue killed 2 people, injured 5 others. The FBI has joined the investigation. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures down 225 points. NASDAQ futures off 186. More on these stories, townhall.com.
In Dinesh D'Souza's new blockbuster movie, Police State exposes the government's plot to control MAGA conservatives.
These are anti-government.
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech.
Violent extremists, and they must be dealt with.
MAGA Republicans threaten the very foundation of our republic.
Mass surveillance, censorship, and armed attacks. There's nowhere to hide.
FBI, we have an arrest warrant.
15 marked units on my property.
Military-styled soldiers pointing an automatic rifle at my head.
Are we becoming a police state?
It may be the Russia other people grew up in, but not my America. Directed by Dinesh D'Souza, Debbie D'Souza, and Bruce Shuley. Police State sounds the alarm.
What we need is a person, and then we go find out what crime you did. How did we give the state this kind of power?
Police State. They have their lists. Are you next?
If they're coming for me, they're coming for you.
Police State. Buy it or stream it now at salemnow.com. Salem Now.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice to have some sunshine back in the area. We're also tapping into a light but warmer flow out of the south and southwest. So, a more comfortable day. A high of about 47 after a chilly start. Upper 30s and dry this evening. Just some high, thin clouds. Down to 28 for the low tonight. Dry Wednesday and Thursday, too. Highs in the low 40s. And still watching for some light rain this weekend that could mix with light snow. Doesn't look like travel will be impacted, but a little minor accumulation on grass is possible. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? A man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $110 per month. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, there are great rates available for you as well. Call Term Busters for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, call Term Busters. 1-800-908-7636. Sample rate for preferred non-tobacco rate class. Exam required to qualify.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, first and foremost, I just want to point out that Bulldog Patriot on Rumble says that he loves my Striper sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Striper. I love the fact that Striper has a meaning to it, and that scripture is it.
Yes.
Hold on, we had one more Striper. Thank you.
Did we?
Let me find it here real quick. Scotty said that he loves the sweatshirt, and he saw Striper in '87 during his high school years in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Nice.
Wow.
Whoa.
I saw them 4 years ago, something like that, at Del Mar Hall.
Yeah.
They were here. Oh, man.
You
All
keep
right.
seeing them.
So if you're wondering what everybody's commenting on, just go to any of our video streams. For Christmas, I got a Striper sweatshirt.
It's their new
I
one.
am wearing today, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. All right. Okay, so when we debate, and I'm talking about politically and I'm talking about culturally as well here. When we debate or we fight over, big versus small government, sometimes those are just catchphrases.
Yeah.
They used to mean something.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they do to enough people because, frankly, there are some Republicans who are buying into big government.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to argue that even if some Republicans say, well, no, we can have a big social safety net. We can have some big government in some areas. And you know what? Some social media is immoral. We need to crack down, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the government needs a social engineer kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for everybody, Republican or Democrat, there's so much more at stake than just, welfare programs, tax rates, whatever. So we know that we are these days literally pushing back against those who want government to decide worldviews and morals. And we've got this idea that let's just elect the right people and then we're going to implement the best morals and worldviews. I don't want government doing that at all.
No, stop it.
All right, so let's get into that in just a minute here. By the way, Illinois, the California wannabe.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's what they should do. It's a change it from Land of Lincoln to we're like California. We want to be California too.
California Midwest branch.
Yeah.
It's a lot to put on a license plate.
Well,
but go for it. Okay.
Illinois has a bunch of new laws in place as of this week, so we're going to go through some of the lowlights at 7:20.
Okay.
Yeah. For those of you still living on the Illinois side of the News Talk STL area.
First of all, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And
our prayers are with you.
And why?
Why, though?
Call Rodney and Jen Wallner at 314-810-SOLD.
Yeah.
And reclaim some freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so speaking of California, they have decided, the state government there, to protect kids from the idea that some things are for boys and some things are for girls, and the boys and girls are different. Here's the story from Town Hall.
On Monday, a new law goes into effect that will require all department stores to present their wares in a gender-neutral fashion. No more boys or girls sections, no more dolls on one shelf and cap guns on another. There can be no acknowledgement of any differences between male and female. Greg Bird of the California Family Research Council tells Fox News the new law is probably a violation of the First Amendment. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Okay, so let me tell you the easy way to do this as the right-wing talk show, here in town. We could go on and on and on about the obviously immorality of the gender confusion, and this is part of the sexual grooming of children.
Yes, you one of the ways you eliminate the differences between male and female. That's one of the things.
Right, and so that's one way. Well, we've done that before.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I kept thinking about this, going over this, reading story after story after story about this. And this is one where I went to the leftist news media outlets to make sure I was digesting their perspective. And, of course, they this is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
They have just gotten to a point where they say that if you even talk about there being inherent differences between male and female, boys and girls, that you're somehow oppressing, limiting, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we've had those discussions here. We know how bad this is. We've seen what's done with Disney. We've seen what's done with Bud Light. We've seen what's done with Target. So we've seen all this before. We don't need to rehash all of this. I'm going to argue that when we're talking about big government and small government, this is part of the equation here.
Yeah.
Okay. In governments like California and in Illinois, voters continuously vote for leftist big government politicians. And at this point, there are people, even those on the Democratic side, who are saying, how could this happen to where the government decides they're going to tell Walmart, you're not allowed to have a boys' toy section or boys' clothing section. You can't have a girls' clothing section. It must all be gender neutral. How could we have possibly gotten to this point? This is how we do it, because while you wanted to fight the culture wars, you can only win that from the left if you successfully implement a big, all-knowing, omnipotent government that says we will decide what society looks like, we will decide what culture looks like. And Republicans, every time you want to put the culture up on a vote, be careful, because this is what can happen. Now, if you want to put on the ballot, we're going to protect you from the culture wars and let communities and let families have their own culture. We're going to protect you from government imposing culture. Fantastic. But a big government approach, whether it's an R or a D, results in crap like this.
Absolutely. And the thing about the right's embrace of big government social engineering type of policies is that it feeds into the neglect of the social institutions that we're supposed to be guarding all of these things to begin with.
Right.
It's in many regards, as much pushback as you get by the left through government to socially engineer, if conservatives had been on the wall, if they had been watching all these things from the standpoint of the social institutions that are supposed to guard them, we wouldn't have had the sort of pushback through government that we've gotten. If they had been fully engaged in the churches, they've been fully engaged in education, they've been fully engaged in the culture, then there would have been a nice breaking wall against the tide of leftist push that's coming from government. But since the leftists took over most of those things, or they silenced those things, they've been able to run roughshod over us for upwards of 50 years at this point.
That's why we've got to be principled.
Yes.
When it comes to smaller, that's where my libertarian streak comes from.
Mm-hmm.
There are things, for instance, and there are some Republicans, and I'm going to name a few of them, and I think Josh Hawley does a lot of good things, but I also think that he's flirting way too much with big government Republicanism. Nikki Haley has shown that she's a big government Republican.
Mm-hmm.
There are some areas where others are showing they're big government Republican. And when a Republican pushes back against the big government social engineering, they get accused of being big government. So a question often comes up, well, if you're conservative, what are you conserving?
Right.
Let me expand that question, guys.
Yeah, please.
Who is in charge of conserving it?
There you go. That's one of the questions behind everything, because you get accused, and it's kind of like you were saying that principle stance often gets accused of, well, you're not conserving anything. We've had this many years of conservatives in government, and they haven't conserved anything. Now, you can definitely make the argument that from the government standpoint, we have not conserved our freedoms from government intrusion.
Right.
Absolutely, that is absolutely true.
We're going to talk about that in Illinois here in a few minutes.
That's a whole other thing. But equally so, and I think more so in terms of the culture wars, we have not conserved our position of prominence in society, and we've let all of those things go, and we've leaned on government to do those things. You know, like the whole welfare state falls apart, or it doesn't gain the type of traction it currently has if we as a society was. We're really on our game to provide the charity for. If we were meeting the needs of individuals, you couldn't make the argument that government must do so.
Who had to be sacrificed and pushed out of the picture in order for the welfare state to succeed?
Dad.
Yep.
And
Fathers.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was nobody there to hold up the changes that were being pushed on us as a society. And I will say this. The black community was the canary in the coal mine on this one. When the welfare state came through, if conservatives had been the first in line to say, okay, from a societal standpoint, the societal organizations, if they were the first ones to say, okay, what can we do to improve the lives of various forgotten peoples within the system, and they had shored up the American system that way, the government wouldn't have had a leg to stand on when they say, well, we need to do something. Well, all of it would have been done by the churches,
and
by
people
the
will
social
still fall through the cracks.
Well,
just
sure,
like they fall through the cracks now.
Obviously.
But you look at, for instance, the cultural stuff. You see what we could be mad at Disney, and we should be.
Oh yeah,
you be mad at Target, and that's we should be. And the market spoke. Particularly, you look at public education, and you mentioned this. These are things that were captured by the far left, by the cultural left, by the Marxist left, decades ago.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about politicians who are talking big or small government, this is what allowed them to get there, because now you've got public education. Look at California. They will literally kidnap your child or work with a trafficker. If your child has true gender dysphoria, and most of the kids don't.
No.
They just have
the social contagion.
They have a social contagion and the fad and the imposed mental illness. They'll figure it out and work through it. But if that kid can get in the hands of a trafficker, whether that trafficker is their cousin who's enlightened in college or whether it's an actual trafficker, and get across the state line into California, the state of California will take possession of your child, keep you away, and they will inject those hormones and provide those surgeries. Because you've got a public education system that people in big government believe competes with or is in charge of parents. It's amazing to me how many parents are afraid of being in trouble with the school.
Yeah.
They're afraid to get a call from the school and the principal saying you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
The school should be scared of the parents.
That's how it was in my day.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad made it clear. I remember him saying this to a teacher to his face. It's like, you do not want me to come down here again.
Yeah.
And my teacher understood.
Right. But when you push for big government, or you decide to use government to impose worldviews, to impose ideologies, to impose whatever, you are still equipping big government to do that when the other side wins the election.
Yeah.
So when a politician comes knocking on your door, what are you going to do to get government out of my life?
That's absolutely it.
And if they say I'm going to work to cut taxes, fine, great. What else?
That's a start, but come on. I mean, the thing is, government currently has too many tools to intervene into your daily life, into the lives of your children and your grandchildren. Right now, we need a conservative party that is really honed in on taking those tools away from government.
Right. Yeah, we're right to push back against the cultural Marxism and the left's abuse of government and imposing it through government. But we need to defeat that, get that equation out of government, and don't say, well, now we won, we're going to impose it ourselves because you did it.
Right. Yeah.
No. That's not what government's for. Gut government.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I realize this is a whole other subject, but I'm just going to toss in all the weird stuff going on in California. On top of that, they've got health care for illegal aliens.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a whole other thing.
As of this week,
my God.
Illegal immigrants get to apply for free. Well, they're just going to be given free health care.
Yeah. There goes your cost of living. Even worse, so Californians.
Exactly.
You
all
voted
right.
for it.
Illinois wants to be like California. I'll give you the update on some of the new laws that went into effect this week. Just ahead.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Columbo and Katie.
Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you so much for listening to us all of 2023, and we hope we can provide the same good content for you in 2024. Join us on Tuesday with Crane Durham from Nothing But Truth.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
With Old Man Winter blowing into the heartland, let me tell you, Hanson's Tree Service is here to help. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Look them up 24/7 at hansonstree.com. Do you have any tree problems at your home or your business? Overhanging branches? Have Hanson's and the gang take them down professionally so Old Man Winter doesn't. What about organic mulch? Hanson's Tree has got that in bulk. It'll save you in price and time. Incredibly convenient. Protect all those assets you've got in the ground and have Hanson's take care of everything above the ground for you as well. Get them out to your homestead or your business right now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Plus, you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Hey everybody, it's Rob Carter. Join me on Sunday nights as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show on Sunday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
By the way, my baseball practices are in full swing. We've got 3 a week now starting this week.
Oh, man.
That's right.
Gosh, already.
Wednesday, Friday, and, well, not...
It's January,
Wednesday,
Mike.
Friday, and Saturday.
It's January.
I'm doing practices for Old Man Baseball, but I can't practice this Saturday, because Rachel doesn't want me practicing this Saturday. Something about her anniversary or something like that. Just saying. But
is it all outdoors?
No, it's all indoors.
Indoors.
No, field houses.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a lot going on. All right. A whole bunch of new laws are now in effect in Illinois. Let's just say the legislative mindset is it's different than what drives lawmakers in Missouri. And speaking of lawmakers in Missouri, we're going to get a preview of the new Missouri lawmaking session with State Senator Nick Schroer going to be with us at 7:35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've seen those stories like, here, the new law's taking effect here.
Oh, yeah.
Because January 1st, a lot of those take effect.
Yep.
So there's a collection from Illinois here. Now, we've talked about the new gun law in a bunch. You know, we tried to fight it when it was working through the system. The U.S. Supreme Court decided to not take up that case, basically saying you're going to have to go through the appellate court system. Eventually, the Supreme Court's going to take the case. Eventually, the Supreme Court is going to strike down this law. But in the meantime, the law bans specific brands and models of both rifles and handguns. If they are semi-auto, if they are auto, they ban all 50 calibers. They ban any sort of attachment or alteration to increase, a single lever to a auto or semi-auto or anything along those lines. And rifles are not allowed to have more than 10 rounds, and handguns are not allowed to have more than 15 rounds. And if you have any of these guns that you owned prior to this law going into effect yesterday, then you're required to register with the Illinois State Police and almost nobody's done that.
That's right, and I think this is the law that is currently it's still making its way, and most people are just assuming that it's going to go the way of the dodo, right? So
But in the meantime, a lot of gun owners in Illinois are absolutely wisely saying, "I'm going to take my chances, break the law," because if you own one of these weapons, you are violating the law right now by not registering it with the Illinois State Police. Personally, just me speaking for Mike Ferguson, that's exactly what I would do if I still lived in Illinois. Is I would not comply with that registration. I would not register my weapon or anything with the Illinois State Police, because once this law is struck down, that could be 2, 3, 4 years down the road, they still have the list.
Right. Now, from my understanding, the law does not have an enforcement mechanism built into the registration aspect of it. So it's like if you don't register, there isn't a defined penalty, right?
Yeah, what are they going to do? They're going to go door to door? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. On social media, the response from a lot of people was, "Or what?"
Right.
So I was like, and there was no response. There is no response currently to that.
Well, but we'll see what the Illinois legislature does.
Yeah.
I mean, they want confiscation.
Yes.
So we'll see how that
absolutely.
goes. All right. So also, the Illinois legislature and J.B. Pritzker signed in a virtue signaling law on banning book bans in libraries.
Ban the bans.
Ban the bans.
Yeah.
So,
although by ban, by the second ban, they mean not putting porn in school.
Right. Well, so here's the thing: is that every library in Illinois must adopt the American Library Association's Library Bill of Rights. And but keep in mind, the American Library Association is truly, actually, legitimately, literally run by a self-avowed Marxist.
Yeah.
And so the state government saying your local library must adopt this private organization's standards by state law, and they have been fighting anything that says you shouldn't put porn in front of kids.
Seriously, that's the actual fight that we're talking about. It's not a book ban as though we're coming through like the Gestapo and saying you cannot discuss this subject. Right. No, it's basically, hey, we don't want the thing with the dude's wee out in the children's section of the public library or in a school, elementary school library at all.
In the public library, put it behind the counter.
Yeah,
put it into a section kids can't go.
Yeah.
Again, my argument, we don't need libraries anymore. That's just my opinion. It's an unpopular opinion, I know, but
put the money in something else.
Right. But what you have there is virtue signaling, saying we're fighting book. Nobody's trying to ban. This is a response to Ron DeSantis winning.
Yes.
In Florida.
Yes.
That's what this is. And it's just stupid. If there's a unpopular topic or a gross opinion on something, put the book out there anyway. Well, I don't have to like it.
You can still buy it at Barnes & Noble.
Right.
They have like stacks of them, and they say, hey, look, our banned book list sale. It's like, it's not banned. I can buy it.
Nobody's banning books.
It's right there. I can buy it.
Yeah.
You're trying to sell it to me right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so how about this one? Now, as of this week, employers in Illinois are required to give paid personal time off. You workers will accrue 1 hour of paid leave for every 40 hours worked, up to 40 hours of a minimum as well. Now, they can do more if they want. So part-time workers at McDonald's, for every 40 hours they work, if they work, if they work 20 hours a week, after the first couple weeks, they have accrued 1 hour of paid time off for any reason. And the employees must accrue that. So you run the cafe or the coffee shop and somebody comes in and works, a Saturday and works, 6 hours on Saturday. After a few months, they have paid time off. The business must give them.
Right. Yeah. So basically what they've done is sort of a minuscule version of a labor increase, a labor cost increase.
Yes.
So that's what they increased the quote unquote minimum wage of somebody hourly. You just spread out that 1 hour per 40 across the 40 hours. That's the new rate essentially that a business owner has to calculate as the cost of their employee. So it's going to have the same effect. It's going to be a small effect because of the size of that change, but it's going to be significant.
It's also a government micromanaging the private sector and businesses. I mean, listen, if I own a coffee shop and I got somebody who wants to pick up, 5 hours a week on Friday and on Saturday. But you're telling me I've got to now accrue paid time off for them. First of all, it's none of the government's business. There's a reason that part-time jobs are treated differently on that, and you're just making it more expensive, like you said, to have that employee there as well. So
I imagine there's also an administrative and a compliance factor of that too.
Listen, businesses will put out the best market offer to the employees. If this is what the market is demanding, that's one thing. That's fine. Then do it. I have nothing against giving employees paid time off.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a problem with the government coming in and saying, you are going to pay these people to not work no matter what.
It's funny, these two stories back to back show the difference between using government in a responsible way to ban books that are inappropriate for children, and then, irresponsible use of government is to micromanage a business operation in terms of their personnel.
But you're now allowed to have air fresheners and fuzzy dice hanging from your rearview mirror.
Oh, well, well, thank you, government, I guess, for protecting my freedom.
So those were against the law in Illinois, and you could get pulled over for that.
Really?
Yeah. So police are no longer allowed to pull somebody over because there's an object hanging from the rear view mirror. And so they actually didn't change the law because, well, that's dumb. Have you been in some cars? People stink, man. Let them have an air freshener. They actually changed the law after the Dante Wright shooting when he was pulled over for having an air freshener in his car.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
gosh. So that's the virtue. But yeah, you shouldn't be pulled over. So the end result is they shouldn't be able to pull you over because you got fuzzy dice.
That was dumb to begin
now,
with.
If you're going to pull you over because you got fuzzy dice, then write a ticket for having bad taste. But I'm all for limiting and taking away reasons to be pulled over.
I don't know if you got like a 70-something convertible, I think it should have fuzzy dice hanging from the window.
That's true. True. Okay, a couple others here because I know we're going to talk to State Senator Nick Schroer here in a couple of minutes. Vaping or e-cigs are no longer allowed indoors.
Yeah, I saw this story.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, it's literally vapor or e-cigs that don't produce smoke, but you know, whatever. Okay, let's see here. Interstate agreements between law enforcement agencies must specify that license plate reader technology not used on cars driven by women coming in Illinois to have abortions.
What?
Yeah, so this is a problem that does not exist. They're afraid that somebody was going to be scanning license plates from other states saying that woman might be pregnant. Stop her before she gets this. Really stupid. It's stupid.
Oh my God.
Now here's an interesting one. Victims of deep fake pornography.
Okay.
Now can file civil lawsuits in Illinois against anybody who shares or threatens to share an image that falsely, or I would think video, that falsely depicts them either naked or nearly naked or in some sort of sexual act. That's a good law.
Yeah, absolutely. That's basically a updated version of harassment law,
right?
Which is right.
Right, exactly. Now,
defamation.
If the picture or the video is real, you got a whole other thing. But if this is a deep fake thing, how about this? I'm just going to read the AP description of this. Businesses have the option of installing restrooms that may be used by any gender simultaneously. I didn't know that was against the law to start with. If you wanted a pervy bathroom, I didn't know that was against the law. It goes on to say, current restrooms may be renovated to accommodate all genders. Okay, I don't know that anything was stopping you before that, but they decided to put it on the books. But here, get this. It goes on to say, and this is the AP's description of this, and I find this hard to believe, but here's what they say. Urinals may not be included, and stalls must have floor-to-ceiling locking dividers. So if you have an all-genders bathroom, by the way, there are only two, but if you have an all-genders bathroom, apparently, according to the AP, you're not allowed to have urinals in them anymore because the creatures formerly known as women...
Well, now, to be fair, unisex bathrooms, I think, are all stall.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's generally, like, why they had to make a law about it, I don't know.
And I think some high schools have eliminated
urinals. Yeah, the urinals. Yeah. Now,
talk about,
I don't know.
Weird.
Why are we having all this pee-pee talk?
Because the left are perverts.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
All right. State Senator Nick Schroer is going to be with us here in about 2.5 minutes. Let's get an update on what's about to happen on the Missouri side. Conservative stuff, maybe?
from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice to have some sunshine back in the area. We're also tapping into a light but warmer flow out of the south and southwest. So, a more comfortable day. A high of about 47 after a chilly start. Upper 30s and dry this evening. Just some high, thin clouds. Down to 28 for the low tonight. Dry Wednesday and Thursday, too. Highs in the low 40s. And still watching for some light rain this weekend that could mix with light snow. Doesn't look like travel will be impacted, but a little minor accumulation on grass is possible. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Vincent's Jewelers carries a full selection of lab-grown diamonds and jewelry containing lab-grown diamonds. Lab-grown diamonds are a great alternative to natural mined diamonds. They have the same physical, chemical characteristics of a traditional diamond, beauty, durability you want, but at a 70 to 90% discount. See them in person at Vincent's and at vincentsjewelers.com. vincentsjewelers.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
You know, we all know that the state of California has a lot of issues. Well, now they're going to deal with one as of January 1. Yep, they decided we'll tackle this and get it resolved immediately. What are they doing? Well, they have decided to enact their gender-neutral toy law. This means that any toy store or any store that sells child care items or toys with 500 or more employees must have a gender-neutral section for the kids. Otherwise, you're going to get fined. That's their priority. With all the crime and homelessness in the state of California, that's their concern, gender-neutral toys. I'm looking at a piece by the New York Post pointing out, yes, little girls generally like to play with dolls and such, and little boys generally like to play with trucks and toy guns, yet sometimes kids march to the beat of their own drums. And toys are gender neutral as they can get anyway. And then they add this. The fact is, gendered marketing for toys seems to bother whiny adults in deep blue states far more than it does actual kids. That's the New York Post statement. And I think they nailed it. Gender-neutral toys, priority for California.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hello, my name's Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com. We're local and family owned. We buy houses in as-is condition direct from the seller. Last year, we bought over 75 houses, and the reason that matters to you, we're able to buy so many houses because we make such competitive offers. So if you're thinking about selling a house as is, please reach out. We're definitely interested in competing and providing you with the best offer and the best price. KLAMEN Group.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
She was a friend to me.
Well, it's fortuitous that's the liner that just came up. Okay, let's see here. We've just covered some of the laws that are going to affect or have gone into effect this week in Illinois as well. Let's get a preview because the Missouri legislative session is getting underway. Big question that we ask about Missouri politics every single year. Will the overwhelming Republican majority get more conservative stuff done, or will they sort of two-step those hard decisions again?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, 2024 now, so who do you want to just not hear from anymore? Who should go the F away?
There's a list.
Oh, there sure is. It's a lengthy one.
Yeah.
Tell us on social media or at 750-314-912-1019. Who do you just not want to hear from anymore now that we have a new year?
Okay, pare it down to your top 5, Max.
Yeah.
Guys, take it easy.
Let's do that. All right, state legislature on the Missouri side underway this week, and there's a new development when it comes to fighting for actual conservative stuff that's going to be formal on Friday, but it's happening right now. And to tell us all about that is State Senator Nick Schroer, who joins us. Of course, you can hear him every weekend with Stand and Fight right here on Sunday night. So, Nick, good to chat with you again. Happy New Year to you. I just threw out that question, who do you not want to hear from anymore? So if you can think of anybody, let me know, but we'll get into the legislative stuff this year with the big question being, will this real conservative stuff that just seemed to get backlogged and seem to get into a chokehold, will we have a chance to get more of it done this year because it's an election year, or the fact that it's an election year actually make it harder to get that stuff done?
Well, I think, a quick answer to your first question is Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Cory Bush, the whole squad, I think I've just had enough of. But I think, this year, while a lot of people are very pessimistic with Missouri, even though we have a supermajority Republican Party, we haven't done anything with it. We've actually kind of hurt ourselves and shot ourselves in the foot by electing more moderates that are masquerading as Republicans. And that's where I think this year is going to be a little bit different, because some of those moderates that have a very moderate record are running statewide. And some of those individuals that have a bad voting record are leading the House and leading the Senate, and they're running statewide. So they're going to be in a Republican primary with the likes of, let's say, Bob Onder and other solidified Republicans, Bill Eigel, and you name it. So some of those Republicans, actual Freedom Caucus Republicans, have gotten the band back together. And we've got the Freedom Caucus, which I know we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But with the pressure of the Freedom Caucus and the pressure of running statewide, and these individuals that are running statewide are leading the House and the Senate, I think there's going to be a renewed effort to actually get things done, like school choice. We've heard from Caleb Rowden already when the Freedom Caucus was announced, and there was some question as to whether we stood on a firm foundation for school choice. And we said, no, bring the bill up. Bring it up in the first couple weeks of session. Can I get that commitment from you? And we can see where the supporters are going to be on school choice. It's not going to be those standing in the way from the Freedom Caucus. So we've got a commitment from him on school choice, a hefty crime bill, you name it, education reform, tax reform. So I think there is a renewed effort and a renewed strength to get this thing done, not only from the Missouri grassroots effort, but now with a renewed, with the Freedom Caucus, a renewed national pressure that's going to be on these people.
Morning, Nick. Gabe here. I know you got your flamethrower fueled up. So where are we in the process? We've got the pre-filing, we've got all of this. So update us. Those of us who don't really know it that well. What is the process? What are we going to see first come up? What's the first big red thing that can come through our legislature?
So in the Senate, in the House, it was totally different. You could pre-file as many bills as you want to, and there was really no guarantee that any of them would get to a committee, get heard in committee. In the Senate, it's a bit different. It goes in terms of seniority. So the most senior members, people like Senator Eigel, Koenig, Denny Hoskins, those that are going to be termed out after this next coming year, they get their bills moved from the pre-filing process to committee first. So starting January 3rd, there's going to be, you're opening up the calendar again so you can legally take in all of these bills and start that process of putting them in the journal, having them first read in the Senate the very next day, Thursday. They're going to be second read. Thereafter, they're going to be sent to committee. So I know a lot of the bills that were coming out of the gate first dealt with sports betting, dealt with big crime bills, election integrity, election reform, tax cut bills. I know Bill Eigel's concentrating on that personal property tax repeal once again. But I think it's going to take at least another week until they get sent to committee. So we started off hot Wednesday. Bills start getting referred, and I think maybe within 2 weeks we're going to start hearing a lot of these bills, especially education reform. Andrew Koenig, who's the chair of the Education Committee, we've already got told you that we got that commitment that there's going to be a big school choice bill within the first couple of weeks, and it's probably going to be his. Mine includes Parents' Bill of Rights, universal school choice, prohibition on a lot of these divisive cultural Marxist principles that are being injected into our curriculum. But another thing, too, to keep your eyes on is past couple of years there was an FRA, the Federal Reimbursement Act renewal. Well, it's going to be up again. And another thing that's come up, too, is the fact that Kansas City Planned Parenthoods, even though we've outlawed abortions in the state of Missouri, Kansas City has been caught with their hand in the cookie jar with Kansas City Planned Parenthood employees saying, yeah, we're referring, and this is all on it wasn't Project Veritas, or it might have been. It was one of those type of videos where the undercover video catches them saying we're sending these minors to our affiliate in Kansas City for abortion. So there's going to be a renewed effort. And yes, I'm the one who filed it to defund Planned Parenthood of our taxpayer dollars.
Hey, with the school choice thing, I mean, first of all, I'll be the first to, well, not the first, but I'll be one of the first to welcome Caleb Rowden into the push for school choice if he suddenly decided to get on board that. Is that a feature of this being an election year? Because Bob Onder and many others, they've been very clear saying there are the votes in the place for the state Senate and the state House to pass the bill. So it's getting caught up in a choke point in the process by the leadership. So I'm in one way we saw this last year, and you and I predicted it over and over and over again. We said we're going to wait. They're going to wait till the last few weeks, then let the bills get discussed. And then, oh, goodness, the clock ran out. We tried, give us credit, but we didn't give you any school choice. So is it actually possible that we could get some big school choice changes done despite the leadership in the House and the Senate?
Yeah, I really think it's prime time for it. The grassroots effort is there. I think there's a bunch of constituents that, without this issue, they're probably not really paying attention to politics. I know there's a lot of other issues, the cost of inflation, cost of living, that have gotten people more in tune to what's going on in the political realm. But now we've got these individuals like Caleb Rowden who, you can't use that excuse anymore. When you're running statewide, you want to run for a higher office, you can't necessarily say, well, we had the supermajority Republican Party. We had Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, all of these steroided up, muscly freaks, but we couldn't even hit any home runs. It's just not going to pass anybody's smell test anymore. And now you have the Freedom Caucus when the leadership in the Senate came out saying, I think you guys are getting this band back together, the Freedom Caucus, but unfortunately you guys don't, support universal school choice. Well, we got them on the record to say it's going to be done here in the first couple of weeks. That's going to be the first true test to see if they're serious about moving conservative issues. And I understand Caleb Rowden comes from a bluer district. He represents around where University of Missouri is in Columbia. So, yeah, there's one talking point of I've got to represent my district here. But the other thing is, put your money where your mouth is. If you say that you're pro school choice, if you say that you're pro cutting taxes, if you say that you're a Republican and you know where our party principles are, stand with them or get the hell out of the way.
Nick, you mentioned the personal property tax bill coming up. How excited can I get about this? Because that's one of my personal bugaboos. I find it the most immoral tax possible. But I've been disappointed many a time. Should I just see this as kind of pushing the ball forward, or is there the real potential for this becoming law?
I think there's a real potential. I think it goes back to, look, the pressure is on when you've got people leading the House, leading the Senate. Those two chambers respectively have stood in the way of so many different things. The leadership has. And, the members have just been salivating saying, give me the bill, put the bill up and we'll vote on it. A couple of years ago when I was in the House, Senator Eigel had a piece that would repeal it across the state. There was an amendment that was just in St. Charles County. And you know how excited I was to say, yes, we're getting rid of it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get rid of it in St. Charles County. Last year, there was another renewed effort towards the end of the year. And I think the House leadership put the kibosh on that. So again, you can't use those excuses anymore when you're wanting to run for lieutenant governor, for treasurer, you name it, secretary of state. That's another one. So, I think Senator Eichel's got several different repeals. He's got a repeal. I think he's got a 15-year phase out, a 50-year phase out. So there should be no more excuses because he's done all of the heavy hitting. He's gotten the legwork done. And if he can't get it done this year, guess who's going to pick up the ball? The next guy from the city or from St. Charles County, and you're talking to him.
All right. One real quick question because we're a little bit over on the segment, Nick, and that is the Freedom Caucus. Of course, the Conservative Caucus, was in the headlines for a long time. It kind of dissolved. Is this basically a rebranded Conservative Caucus, or is this a fresher, newer effort that officially launches, I know, on Friday, but you guys are at work already?
Yeah, this is a fresh, brand new thing. It's connected to the State Freedom Caucus Network, which is a sister of the Congressional Freedom Caucus. Jim Jordan, Byron Donalds, Chip Roy, some of the rock stars that are in D.C. right now doing the Lord's work. The Missouri Freedom Caucus is the 12th state out of the State Freedom Caucus Network that was hand-selected. They came to us. They vetted us. There's 11 different founders in the House and in the Senate based upon our voting records. And we're kicking off this Friday very close to where the new studio is. It's going to be in St. Charles County, Main Street, St. Charles, where the original Missouri State Capitol is. We're going back to our roots. And ultimately, 10 a.m. kickoff. Everybody can come, open to the public, and then there's a luncheon thereafter right down the street. You can check that out on my Twitter, my X, at Nick B. Schroer, or at Mo Freedom Caucus. But yeah, this is something that is connected to a massive network of legal experts, of conservative experts. So it's not just a very small grassroots effort that just goes away in the interim when session's done. This thing is coming like a freight train, so y'all better be ready.
All right, State Senator Nick Schroer getting to work in Jeff City this week. All right, we'll talk to you again soon, my friend. Thanks.
God bless y'all.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, just ahead, who do you want to not hear from anymore?
There's a list.
Nick says the Squad.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other people on Rumble also said the Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Who should just go away? Let's go around the room and get your thoughts on that. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
She was a friend to me when I needed one. Wasn't for her, I don't know what I'd have done. She gave me back something that was missing in me.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at CIH.health. That's CIH.health.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, new year, chance to start things fresh. Is there any noise that you'd like to clear out of your space?
New year, new you.
Yes. All right. In other words, who do you not want to hear from anymore in 2024? We're getting a few of those answers in already.
No more in 24.
That's true. I like that. I didn't think about that. Okay, a new survey says Americans not optimistic about our personal finances. In other words, we don't think the Bidenomics economy is going to be good for us. More at 8:05 on that. Interesting, because this survey was not done by a political group.
Mm-hmm.
It was done by an apolitical group. And so I've got one of their analysts on. People are saying, I don't think I'm going to end the year as good a shape as I am right now.
Yeah.
And that's really unusual.
Really bad.
All right, it is 7:30 or 7:53 right now. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell. Okay, so who should just shut up and go away in 2024? 314-912-1019. Nick Schroer said anybody in the squad.
Yeah.
I had a couple people on Rumble say that as well. Stell, who would you like to not hear from anymore in 2024, politics or otherwise?
I like the fact that Nick was able to amalgamate all of them together into one. So that's a valid group there. But my top of the list would be Liz Cheney.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Hey, she's got a book out. You want me to get it for you?
I'll add Mitt Romney onto your list there of people, right? You don't want to hear from. But the one I actually had in my mind was Mayorkas.
Oh yeah.
I don't because the thing is, every time he talks about how great everything is and how how much he's doing to deal with it. I mean, if there's anything I want to hear from him, it's him taking the oath to in front of a court at his impeachment.
There you go.
It's like that's what I hear.
On Rumble, Lunch Lady says Annie Clinton.
Annie Clinton. That's true. That includes Chelsea because she's a political operative now too.
Yeah. With all of her vast experience in the world.
Yes, she's clearly.
By the way, you are going to see Bill Clinton's name very prominently in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So he is listed in the Epstein documents.
Yep.
Now, the stories that I have read on this say that the documents, they claim, even though he's going to be named like 100 times in these documents, they claim, well, he never went to the island.
That's the claim.
That's
Yes.
the claim.
Yes.
So we'll see what this looks like. That's going to be released. It's supposed to be later on this month. Okay, so you mentioned Mayorkas.
Yep.
I am going to say that I really am sick and tired of, and I don't want to hear anymore from these stupid protesters.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And I'm going to just like in a blanket, and
all of them.
Don't mistake this into me saying I want to take away their right. They've got the right to it.
Yeah.
But the pro-Hamas protesters, these stupid
Stop Oil
Just
people.
Stop Oil people. Oh, my God. Did you see one of these idiots ran down onto a soccer field with a zip tie and zip tied himself to the goal, around his neck, and put a zip tie on and then tied himself to that?
Really?
If I'm the soccer game, I'm like, all
Yeah.
right,
Leave them there.
That's a target.
let's go ahead and get your ankles there and just start shooting the soccer ball at him.
Look, if I'm on the field, I'm offering money to people who can beat him
Yeah.
from half.
That's right. Or from 5 feet away. Just go ahead and take the easy shot.
The penalty shot
Yes.
distance. Yes.
Precisely.
Mhm.
So I am so sick of these people who decide. It's not even that they, for instance, I was on Rachel and I exited off of 270 on Olive the other day, going to a friend's kind of holiday party. And there were a bunch of Black Lives Matter protesters sitting there and standing there on the sidewalk with all of their virtue signaling signs.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of old white people, which is, which is what you'd expect for this. But I'm like, all right, they were just saying, honk for Black Lives Matter, whatever. Nobody was honking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever. Okay, that you can do. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people who decide to take away people's rights.
Right.
We are going to commandeer the roadway. We're going to take over businesses, marching on Times Square.
We're going to
New
block
Year's Eve.
airports like JFK.
Yep. And, those are the people I absolutely have no desire to hear from at all.
Some people we don't want to stop talking. We do want to hear from you, our listeners, and even when you're critical of us. And Scooter said, advising people to break the law sounds irresponsible, my 2 cents. That's about the gun registration.
When I said I personally would not comply with that law, we just disagree on that. I think that disobeying an unconstitutional, immoral law is responsible. But
Absolutely.
I respect the opinion. I know what
sure.
he's saying. I just disagree.
Same.
Yep.
When it's important to you,
Great you're talking about this.
it's on News Talk STL.
Continue to supply Ukraine with critical weapons and equipment as long as we can.
This administration and Democrats are not for securing our border, but they are for securing the Ukrainian border.
News, analysis, opinion.
I'm also here today to correct how the MAGA right has portrayed me for their political purposes.
This is an impeachment inquiry. 1019 and 94.1.
It's been a serious, credible, transparent investigation from day one.
News Talk STL.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey.
In the state of Missouri, we have a tool at our disposal to fight back. We have a statute on the books that makes it a felony offense to knowingly transport criminal alien through the state of Missouri. That's an enormous deterrent effect against drug traffickers and human traffickers. And we need to use that statute to make sure we're enforcing the laws and preventing this invasion from negatively impacting Missouri further.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Japan continues to feel aftershocks following yesterday's earthquakes, claimed at least 48 lives, forced thousands from their homes. The runway collision of a Japan Airlines jet and a Japanese Coast Guard plane in Tokyo reportedly left 5 Coast Guard crew members dead. Ukraine's 2 largest cities have been hit by Russian hypersonic missiles and drones.
Emergency workers were seen rescuing a person from the wreckage of a building in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv after the city was struck by Russian missiles. In Kyiv, 5 areas of the city were hit in the strikes, and at least a dozen people were injured, according to Mayor Vitaly Klitschko. The governor of the Kharkiv region said at least 1 person died and dozens were injured in Russian missile strikes that hit the center of Kharkiv city and other areas. The barrage of the cities continued Russia's escalated attacks on Ukraine in recent days. That began on Friday with its largest single attack since the war started. I'm Karen Chamas.
Iowa's the focus of most Republican presidential candidates as the 2024 primary season gets ready to kick off.
Ron DeSantis spent the week between Christmas and New Year's Day campaigning in Iowa, and the Florida governor has an unrelenting schedule ahead of him there this week, with the Iowa caucuses just under 2 weeks away. And he's not the only one. Former President Trump plans his own blitz over the final 2 weeks, including in deeply conservative northwest Iowa. Nikki Haley made stops in eastern Iowa late last week, while Vivek Ramaswamy also has stormed the state. Greg Clugston, Washington.
A new AP NORC poll puts immigration and foreign policy at the top of the list of voter concerns heading into 2024. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 239 points. NASDAQ futures off 181. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Progressive asks, what do a slow Friday night, bored teenage boys,
I'm bored,
a pack of fireworks,
this is gonna be awesome,
and a teetering branch suspended over your car have in common?
Look out!
They can quickly wreak havoc on your slow Friday night.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Bundle your home and auto with Progressive for great savings and round-the-clock protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Seth Holhouse brings hope and insight as he fights against socialism and communism on the Man in America podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The role of the digital world in shaping our perception of the real world cannot be overlooked. It seems like all of these mechanisms are dividing us in endless ways.
Subscribe to Man in America today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at Salem.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice to have some sunshine back in the area. We're also tapping into a light but warmer flow out of the south and southwest. So, a more comfortable day. A high of about 47 after a chilly start. Upper 30s and dry this evening. Just some high, thin clouds. Down to 28 for the low tonight. Dry Wednesday and Thursday, too. Highs in the low 40s. And still watching for some light rain this weekend that could mix with light snow. Doesn't look like travel will be impacted, but a little minor accumulation on grass is possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Tim Jones here to tell you it's officially landscape lighting season at Pro Outdoor. To see some of their incredible lighting work, visit their website, prooutdoor.com. They offer low-voltage landscape lighting that really makes your home stand out from your neighbors. If you're looking for accent lighting, path lighting, or wanting to expand your outdoor living space, or just looking for a little more security around your home, the team at Pro Outdoor are the ones to call. Pro Outdoor can take care of all your outdoor needs, including lawn fertilization, irrigation installation and service, as well as landscape lighting. They're offering some great end-of-year specials. Be sure to call them today. Schedule a consultation. That's prooutdoor.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Hey, will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! This is your
All right, this is the time of year when we have made our New Year's resolutions, most likely, and everybody has a different set of resolutions. Maybe you're going to get those things done around the house. Certainly, a lot of people want to do something with their health or losing weight or getting back in shape or fixing the car. And for a lot of people, they also look to the new year and finances. And what is that going to look like for us? Well, a new survey that has recently been released says that there are a lot of Americans not particularly optimistic about getting better when it comes to finances. Let's find out what that's all about. I'm Mike Ferguson, now joined by Greg McBride from our friends at Bankrate.com. And Greg, first of all, good to have you back on the program here. The other part is you have another survey. You kind of take the pulse of what Americans are thinking when it comes to personal finance and the economy. And even though we're being told the numbers are kind of going in the right directions on a macro scale in the economy, a lot of Americans just haven't quite said, I feel better yet, have they?
No, you're right about the New Year's resolutions and just objectives for the new year. If there's one time of year where people are inclined to be optimistic and think positively about things, it's coming into the new year. But yet we don't see people brimming with optimism when it comes to their finances. Only 37% of Americans expect their finances to get better in 2024. 38% don't expect any change, and 26% are actually expecting their finances to get worse. You mentioned just sort of the bigger macro picture and all the positives there. So we asked people, particularly those that didn't expect improvement in their finances next year, what's causing that? And there was one reason that really kind of emerged among all others, and that's inflation. So even though the rate of inflation is moderated, it's the cumulative effect that's still doing a number on people's budgets because of the fact that prices are still high. They may be increasing at a slower rate, but they're still going up, and they're going up from levels that are a lot higher than 3 years ago. That continues to really weigh on not just household budgets, but how people feel about their finances.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look at that and they say, okay, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But like you said, the piling on over and over to what's already there has a big effect. And so when people tend to look ahead, I mean, we tend to be optimistic right now. How is it that that one thing is affecting so many other things? I mean, is this affecting what we think we're going to be able to save, what we think we're going to be able to invest? Because I know there's a lot of pundits and there's a lot of commentators who just think in terms of the overall big economy, but we're talking about people's actual at-home finances and what they're doing in the household.
Yeah, when we dive, a little bit deeper into the numbers, I think it reveals that struggle in a much more evident way. For example, 60% of households are living paycheck to paycheck. When we look at the fact that this cumulative effect of inflation, it coincides with savings account balances that have gone down over the last few years, credit card balances that have gone up. Those credit card balances, Mike, they've gone up at a time when credit card rates are at a record high. Nobody's financing purchases at 20% interest because everything's wonderful. That's a really clear sign of the strain that households are feeling. And it's not discretionary spending. This is for necessities. So, you look at the overall numbers, the macro numbers, things like consumer spending look really, really strong. When you look beneath the surface, you find that for millions of households, yes, they're spending more, but it's not because it's discretionary spending. They're spending more on the same necessities, the same lifestyle, if you will, the same amount of stuff. And that's really strained their budgets, run down the savings. It's, they piled on some credit card debt. And so they're, the overall impact there is, people don't feel like they're making progress financially, or they're just not optimistic that this is going to change in a positive way for them as we move into the new year.
We are visiting with Greg McBride from bankrate.com. And Greg, let's talk about how do we assess then what's happening? Because if we're feeling that pinch and that 20-some% credit card rate, that's just scary. It can paralyze a lot of people. So before we get into what are the steps we can take to put ourselves in as good of a position as possible, how do we accurately assess where we're at so we can figure out which steps to take at all?
Do a little pulse check on your finances. Look at where you are now relative to where you were at the beginning of the year. Look at those savings account balances. Is it higher or lower? Did you put money in the savings this year? Did you take money out? Same thing with the credit cards or other debts. What are those balances now versus what were they at the beginning of the year? Are you paying the credit cards off in full every month? Are you revolving balances? Are those balances bigger than they were at the beginning of the year? Or have you managed to make some headway on paying down that debt? Take a look at your budget. I mean, especially with inflation the way that it's been, you're having to write that budget in pencil anyway because things are changing all the time. Every time the auto insurance renews, the premiums go up, that kind of thing. So, take a good look at your spending, map out your budget for 2024, write that in pencil because you are going to have to make adjustments during the year, and just hold yourself accountable by tracking your spending so that you know where you can cut back. When you have excess and you can put a little bit of money into savings or accelerate the debt repayment.
Yeah, and I know there are some really good apps out there that you can track your spending if you're honest with yourself and actually put everything in. Okay, Greg, last couple minutes we've got. Let's talk about some basic steps because somebody may feel really overwhelmed. They're saying, Greg, yeah, I feel that inflation that you're describing. I am scared of the credit card debt. I can't even think about trying to accomplish some of these other goals. But what are some ways that people can maybe, once they do that kind of self pulse taking that you described there, that they can take some steps in at least moving the right direction? Because momentum means a lot in personal finance, has been my personal experience over the years.
It certainly does. Absolutely. So if you've got credit card debt, if you have decent credit, look at a 0% or other low rate balance transfer offers. Some of these 0% offers last as long as 21 months. They're still out there. They never went away despite the sharp hike in interest rates. Those are still out there. That could really put the wind at your back on getting that credit card debt paid down and paid off for good. Take advantage of that to really accelerate your debt repayment. In terms of that emergency savings, which has long been the Achilles heel for many Americans and their finances, set up a direct deposit from your paycheck into a dedicated savings account. if you're in business for yourself or you're a gig worker, you don't get a regular paycheck, you can set up an automatic monthly transfer from your checking account to your savings account. The key is automating it, making that savings happen, as opposed to trying to wait till the end of the month after all the bills have been paid and then seeing what's left over and trying to save that.
Yeah, because at that point, then you're adjusting your lifestyle throughout the month, and a little bit here, a little bit there makes room for that. That's a good take on that. All right, Greg, where do we find out more about the survey that was done and what we can learn from it?
Bankrate.com. We have it right on the homepage at bankrate.com. We also have the ability to find that top yielding savings account, to find those 0% balance transfer offers on credit cards, and set some goals for the new year. We do find that paying down debt for the third year in a row is the number one financial goal that people have set for themselves going into the new year.
And of course, you can find Greg at Bankrate Greg on Twitter or X as well. All right, Greg, thanks so much for being on the program. I hope your holidays have been great and have a very happy new year.
Thank you so much, Mike. Happy holidays.
All right. Do you have any advice you'd like to share? Let me see it on our social media kind of chat boxes and comments, or give me a call, 314-912-1019. I'm telling you, like I just said a second ago, those spending apps, there's one called Every Dollar that you can get for free. If you set your budget and you're actually honest with yourself about what you're spending, it's a huge help. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul sewn up. It is no more.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I see your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that now? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now. They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
One of the 5 most traumatic experiences in life is moving. I can assure you that McGuire Moving can help ease that pressure. Moving into a new home or a new business, locally, internationally, McGuire is rated #1. More than 80 years of experience. Free estimate? Call McGuire, 314-241-0600. 241-0600. McGuireMoving.com.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
Since you're wearing a striper
That's right.
sweatshirt.
My Christmas present.
It's awesome.
It was funny. I unwrapped it, and if you're watching this on video right now, am I framed up on the camera?
Oh yeah, looking
Okay.
good. Yes.
It was this what I'm wearing right now, this striper sweatshirt, and my brother apparently was traveling somewhere, saw it, took a picture, sent it to my wife. My wife said, "Oh, absolutely, get that." So everybody cheered when I got my striper sweatshirt. I'm like, I am wearing that on the first day back after vacation. All right, Seer, what's going on in the news here? Biden administration lets in millions of illegal aliens. Border state governors ship them to blue states, so guess who the leftists are blaming for the chaos? We'll talk about that right around 8:35. And the XFL does not exist anymore. Yeah, that announcement came this past week. So what's next for the Battlehawks? That's all in our news roundup here in just a second. It's 8:18 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. All right, let's go through a few things happening in the news right now. This situation, of course, I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of took it easy during the holiday break, and we kind of lost track of what's happening in some of the world news, including what's going on with Israel and Hamas and Gaza. But keep in mind that there's also the related violence coming from Iranian-backed militants as well, and more fighting in the Red Sea over the past day and a half between U.S. and the Houthi rebels who are backed by Iran. By the way, Iran, of course, just a couple months ago got about $6 billion. Just pointing that out. Well, suddenly all these Houthi rebels are very well equipped to attack United States, ships and vehicles and personnel. And the Houthi rebels were fighting with U.S. Navy helicopters, and those U.S. Navy helicopters sank 3 of the enemy gunboats. Choppers came under attack while responding to a distress call. They fired back, sank 3 of 4 small boats. Congressman Mike Turner, he's a Republican out of Ohio, was on ABC's This Week. He says the Biden administration has got to become more aggressive in dealing with these Houthi attacks.
This administration has been very timid in responding to escalations by Iran. In order to be able to address this, they're going to have to look at operations into Yemen where the capabilities are resident, where Iran continues to reload them as they attack commercial shipping areas and put at risk U.S. military.
Now, fortunately, no U.S. personnel were hurt in the fighting, but we're seeing now dozens and dozens of cases of Iranian-backed militants and Iranian-backed organizations, terrorist organizations, attacking United States military, and they basically have been told, well, we've been shown, rather, that they've got a kind of carte blanche to do it. So now we've had the U.S. fight back a little bit, but what we should be doing is going in and eliminating these terrorists, just like Israel is trying to eliminate the Hamas terrorists. Okay, Missouri's minimum wage gone up again as of this week for almost all businesses in the state. There's a few very small businesses that won't be affected by this, but for most businesses in the state, minimum wage is now $12.30 an hour. That's up 30 cents from last year. Increase is due to a voter-approved referendum that passed in 2018, which was a terrible idea. On the Illinois side, the minimum wage as of this week, still, get this, $14 an hour.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And there are other states that are even higher.
Oh, yeah.
Which is hard to fathom. And I don't know how small businesses are going to survive this type of increase.
Well, they're not. They're just, the niche ones that, have a very clear, role in their community, for lunch or for something specific. But this is, I'm not going to call it a war on businesses, but it's an effort by governments to say we're going to make you pay out whatever it is that we think our voters want and demand. So you're going to pay for our campaign promises is what's happening. And, of course, on the Missouri side, voters approved this in 2018, back when the economy was in better shape.
Golly.
And it was just a stupid move, and this is one of the things we warned about back then. Listen, if a business is successful and the employees are worth it, I hope everybody gets really, really, really rich.
Sure.
But this is the wrong approach. This is a proven loser approach economically for everybody. Okay, 2024 presidential primary season officially, now they've been campaigning for months, obviously, but the first votes are going to be cast in less than 2 weeks. So basically, Here we go.
First up on the election year calendar, the Iowa caucuses. No one has more riding on Iowa than Ron DeSantis, who has placed a premium on the kickoff state. He has devoted a lot of time campaigning there, including during the week between Christmas and New Year's. DeSantis has the backing of Iowa's governor and the state's top evangelical Christian leader. But Donald Trump continues to hold a large advantage in Iowa polls. Greg Clugston, Washington.
I've just got this feeling that, and I don't know what's going to happen in Iowa, but I have a feeling there's going to be some kind of big surprise. I don't know where that's going to be, first through fourth place. I don't know, but I've just got a feeling something wild's going to happen in a couple weeks in Iowa.
You know, I hate to use the word fun, but it's kind of what makes caucuses fun because you have no idea where it's going to go once it gets started.
Polls are basically worthless in primary states, but they are incredibly worthless in caucus states as well. And, you know, you look at Ron DeSantis in particular, and Michael's right about that. I mean, nobody has worked Iowa the way Ron DeSantis has. Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy have spent a lot of time campaigning there, and Iowans respond to that. Donald Trump's flown in a couple times for his big rallies, but that's really all he's done there. So these other candidates have really, really worked Iowa. And first of all, I could go on a rant on how it's ridiculous that Iowa has so much influence on the nominating process. It should not. And I don't know why the Republican Party protects Iowa as the first in the nation. They should not do that, but that's a debate for a different day. But I just have this feeling that some kind of surprise is in store for us in 13 days or whenever the primary is, or the caucus is. It's less than 2 weeks from right now. Going to be interesting.
And on the Democratic side, you look at South Carolina. What's going to happen there? Who knows? But it seems as though all of a sudden they've thrown their focus onto South Carolina.
Yeah.
Piggybacking on what happened with Biden in 2020 with James Clyburn, all of a sudden saying, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And, he took care of it.
Yeah, he did. Well, and then what's happening is, basically Joe Biden, and he is obviously the head of the Democratic Party as the sitting president of the United States, and he says South Carolina goes first. As far, and that basically was a way to try to appeal to black voters. Because Iowa, New Hampshire, not really known for their minority populations.
Not too much.
No. And so that was, and that, of course, that really upset New Hampshire, really upset Iowa. But it's going to be, I think this is going to be an absolutely chaotic year, which, hey, if you're an observer, you like to talk politics, man, it's going to be a lot of fun. But anybody who says, I know exactly what's going to happen is full of themselves and full of something else.
Not only is it going to feel like 24/7, it's going to feel like 28/7.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. As of right now, Illinois has a new and a blatantly unconstitutional gun control law on the books, bans dozens of, we're talking specific brands of guns and types of semi-auto and automatic guns. The law also demands that anyone who's grandfathered in and owns one of these weapons prior to January 1st, which is when the law went into effect, that they must register with the Illinois State Police and go self-report that they own these guns. The law is being appealed. Multiple reports say only a small percentage of gun owners, very small, as in like single-digit percentage of gun owners who own these guns have actually complied with that registration requirement. So the U.S. Supreme Court did not take up the appeal of this law, and they said, no, it's got to go through the appeals process at the lower levels of the courts. Eventually, this is going to end up in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. And we actually had somebody who was kind of critical of something I said a little bit earlier on the show. And by the way, thanks for sending in your critique, and I do truly mean that. Because I said, and I lived in Illinois for many years of my childhood, and if I still lived in Illinois, I personally would not comply with this law. We know it's going to be struck down. We know that it's blatantly unconstitutional. We know that it is tyrannical for any government to come in and say, turn yourself in. You haven't committed a crime. So prior restraint where you're going to turn yourself in and enroll in our list. That is dangerous. It's tyrannical. I can only speak for myself. I can tell you that if I still lived in the state of Illinois, I personally would not comply with this law. I would be among those who refused to register with the government. And somebody messaged in on social media or put a comment in and said that's really irresponsible of me to encourage people to break the law. I completely understand where that person's coming from, and I don't know who sent it in, but thank you. But Gabe was looking at it. I get what you're saying. I also think that an unconstitutional, tyrannical law should not be obeyed. That's my personal opinion. Other people, even in the building here, may have different opinions on that as well, but that's why we have these discussions. So I actually really appreciate somebody saying, hey, Mike, I disagree with you, and I'm going to put that in public.
Sure.
I get where you're coming from. I think there's a logic. I think it's a defensible argument, especially if you're saying, we're law and order conservatives. I get it. But this is, I guess, my constitutional libertarian streak coming out in me. And with over 90% of the gun owners who are believed to have some of these weapons that were legal last week and not legal today, the fact that they have simply said, no, I'm not going to go to the effort to comply with this law. I completely understand where they're coming from, and that's what I would do if I still lived there.
And I think many of us have the perspective that the Second Amendment is critical to the survival of our nation, to be totally honest.
And I believe that I would be complying with the Second Amendment by saying I'm not going to submit to this state law.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if something bizarre happens and the Supreme Court upholds this law next year, year after that, or whenever the case is, I can't imagine that happening. But then you'd be in a position to make the decision then. Is this unconstitutional regardless of what the Supreme Court says? And are you going to take the chance of living out your Second Amendment rights? Well, we'll see I think the Supreme Court's going to strike this down, which is my guess is what a whole lot of gun owners are saying. We know this is going to get struck down, so I'm not going to leave you with my name and serial number and information that you are not going to be entitled to, because anybody who believes the Illinois State Police is going to actually delete the list is foolish and naive. They are going to keep the list. Somebody's going to have that list. And registration, historically around the world, registration has always preceded confiscation.
Yes.
So that's my personal take on it. And I completely understand. Listen, I'm not a lawyer. Don't take legal advice from me. I'm just saying is that I would not comply with the law.
And the same for me as a Chicago native.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't if I were in that situation. And the folks in Washington have got their eyes zeroed in on what's going on here.
Precisely. Okay, a little bit of better news here. Big changes coming for pro football in St. Louis. XFL does not exist anymore. That announcement made over the last few days. The league is merged with the USFL to form one spring pro football league.
Were you surprised by this? Because I didn't have any clue that this was a possibility.
I knew there were some talks that were happening last fall, but I didn't know anything was going to come of it.
This quickly?
Yeah, the XFL was clearly superior football to the USFL. And people showed up to the XFL games, not so much in the USFL. They just had a bad business model. And some guys would play for the XFL, then hook on and play a little bit with the USFL right after that. And so the new United Football League, UFL, is going to kick off right after the Super Bowl, just like before. And they're going to have 8 teams. So both the USFL and the XFL had 8 teams apiece. So 16 teams are in the mix. And the new league is taking 4 from the old XFL and 4 from the USFL to create this new UFL. The Battlehawks are part of the new league. The Battlehawks are moving on to the new era. So among all of these 8 teams, really among all these 16 teams, St. Louis was the top market for pro football in the spring in the country. The top market as far as attendance at the home games, top market for merchandise, and also the top market for ratings and viewership of the games. And so, of course, they stayed with St. Louis, and the Battlehawks are going to be playing at the Dome again. Anthony Beck is coming back as the head coach, and they still have a goal of trying to completely sell out the Dome, including that upper level as well. So we'll see whether they can do it, but the more details are going to be announced later this week. I'm probably going to have somebody from the Battlehawks on Thursday or Friday.
I'm not saying that this is comparable, but it reminds me, because I go back a little further maybe than you do, reminds me of the merger of not just the AFL and the NFL, but also the ABA and the NBA.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And when those leagues both had their own mergers, they had different situations, different cities, tried to pull out who they felt was a city that could survive the best. So I wish these guys all the best regarding this situation. But it kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't know they were going to do it, but okay, let's go.
So if pro football is going to be here again this year, if we want to keep pro football in St. Louis, and I think the Battlehawks are a great fit, then you got to support them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Gabe.
Hi. Two conferences. USFL conference is going to include the Birmingham Stallions, Houston Roughnecks, Memphis Showboats, Michigan Panthers. XFL conference is going to include Arlington Renegades, DC Defenders, San Antonio Brahmas, and, of course, your St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah. Nice. See ya, Vegas.
Peace.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice to have some sunshine back in the area. We're also tapping into a light but warmer flow out of the south and southwest. So, a more comfortable day. A high of about 47 after a chilly start. Upper 30s and dry this evening. Just some high, thin clouds. Down to 28 for the low tonight. Dry Wednesday and Thursday, too. Highs in the low 40s. And still watching for some light rain this weekend that could mix with light snow. Doesn't look like travel will be impacted, but a little minor accumulation on grass is possible. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Well, nearly 3 in 5 illegal immigrant households are on taxpayer-funded entitlements. So work harder, Americans. You've got the whole world depending on you. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or your 401k right now. Text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Breaking news, an open border costs you and I a whole lot of money. According to a new study from the Center for Immigration Studies, nearly 3 in 5 illegal immigrant households are receiving taxpayer-funded welfare. And yes, this is in addition to the food, shelter, and other perks migrants are getting as they enter the U.S. illegally. So how are people who have no legal right to be here cashing in on these welfare benefits intended for American citizens? Well, they qualify for these entitlements because although they may work, they are still low income enough to access these benefits through their U.S.-born children, also known as anchor babies. Not only do we need to close our southern border immediately, we need to end birthright citizenship immediately. We simply cannot afford this, America. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michaels Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michaels, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
This is Ben. Hi, Ben. We got a serious issue in Chicago. Immigrants coming into their community. It could be making its way down here. They're talking about 17,000 migrants from Venezuela moving to Chicago. I've been a Democrat my whole life, and since October 7th, everything going on, I don't know how this is values for everybody. The people who have already been working hard and trying to build a life for themselves here.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Once upon a time you were fire for God.
This is that song. That's the song you sent me last week or so.
Yeah, this is Paul Clark, Sharpen the Axe.
Very bluesy.
Yeah, very much so. And very pointed lyrics.
Yeah. All right, Democratic mayors have had it. They have had it, Gabe.
Yeah.
With all these conservatives who are causing the illegal immigration crisis in their cities.
Wait, we're causing it?
Yeah.
The conservatives are causing the illegal immigration.
My goodness.
All right. Explain yourself, sir.
Oh, yes. I will do my best. All right. News Talk STL streaming audio, streaming video, which, by the way, a lot of people getting a kick out of the video today. They like my Christmas present.
It's awesome.
I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
My striper sweatshirt.
What does it have on the arm, going down the arm?
It has the Bible verse that came from where they got their name.
Oh,
Yeah.
by his stripes we are healed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Isaiah 53:5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
Yep, that's a lot of people don't realize that's where the name came from. It's from that
That's
verse.
right.
So it's just kind of down the.
Pretty
down
awesome.
It's going to be hard to read because I move my arms a lot.
Yeah.
But sharpen the axe.
The name of this song here. Yep. All right. News Talk STL streaming audio, streaming video. If you haven't downloaded the app, where you been, man?
Yeah.
Vacation's over. Come
What
on.
are you even doing?
Come
Yeah,
on,
seriously.
Get to it. Get
you,
to it.
you did not win the Powerball last night. That was somebody in Michigan. So
Oh.
go to work.
Yeah.
And listen to us on the
15
way.
it takes about 15 seconds to download. Thing is free, and of course we've got all of our podcasts as well. All right, this is rich, man. This is leftist mayors. We're going to focus. Let's focus on Chicago. Brandon Johnson here.
Okay.
Kind of give you an example of what's going on
Right across the river.
Blaming Republicans for the effect of illegal immigration on their cities.
Yeah, because they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's connect the dots here, shall we?
Because we thought Lori Lightfoot was bad.
Right. So connecting the dots, just in case anybody still has kind of the foggy head from the holidays.
Right.
The Biden administration says open borders, and as people rush through, we'll hand you a piece of paper and then, say, well, there you go, you're legal.
Yeah.
And then, of course, otherwise just pro-illegal immigration.
Mhm.
Most of the people coming across the border, the millions, they're not even pretending that this is anything legal. They're just okay with it.
Oh, yeah.
And so in Texas in particular, to some degree in Florida, some other states, they're putting these illegals on planes and buses and other things and saying, fine, as you pointed out earlier, Gabe, put them in sanctuary cities. You say you want them, here you go.
You wanted to do a sanctuary. Now do a sanctuary.
And it turns out that's not as easy as they think it is.
Over the weekend, the New York Post front page, New Year's Eve, they had a photo showing literally thousands of folks flooding the southern border, and their headline was New Year's Wave.
Yep.
Thought, boy, that's exactly it.
How many of those caravans have we seen in the last 2 years?
A lot.
Oh, there's had to been like 10 in the last
Probably,
2 years.
yeah.
And each caravan is thousands upon 1000s. So it's funny because we said, hey, if you allow unfettered illegal immigration like this, you're going to overwhelm city services. You're going to create a homeless crisis, and you're going to cause a lot of problems for local neighborhoods and children and schools and all these other. And we kind of laid out what would happen if you allowed the floodgates to be open. And guess what's happening in all these cities where only a handful of the illegal immigrants coming across the border is doing? Yeah. Exactly what we said was going to happen.
Exactly what we said. And now you've got Brandon Johnson saying that it's irresponsible for the Republican governors, and he's looking at Abbott in particular, but DeSantis as well, irresponsible for them to bust these people all over the country because that's creating the chaos. So they don't care if it's in the red state. They don't care about that. But get this, a guy by the name of Art Del Cueto, who is with the Border Patrol Officers Union, essentially, their association, he was on Fox News Live, and here's what he had to say.
Every single year that this administration has been in office, the numbers keep going bigger and bigger. Every year is a new record number, and continuously, frankly, every month and every week is a new record number. And that's who the finger needs to be pointed at, because you're seeing way too many individuals that are coming across from all over the world.
Yeah, and the idea that the mayor of Chicago or the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, or the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, any of them could with a straight face say, we're overwhelmed by all of these illegal immigrants. How dare you drop them off at our front door? You Republicans are causing the chaos. How they can do that with a straight face is just beyond me.
It is really wild. It's kind of like, you know what would stop the illegal immigrants from flowing into your city? If they stop coming into the country.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing how that would work. Hey, why don't you support me in my effort to get the federal government to stop them from coming into the country? Oh, no. The issue is you busing them. That's what the real issue. It doesn't make any dang sense.
Yeah, give them free health care, give them free education, give them an iPhone, give them all that stuff at taxpayer expense. But you know what? Don't put them on a bus.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Don't pay Greyhound.
Well, actually, what they're advocating is you give them free things.
Yeah.
You, Texas, give them free access to a driver's license and cell phones and food. It's like don't. I mean, yes, I said that they're a benefit to everything and that we need to have our open borders and that we are a sanctuary city and we're not going to have any laws. I mean, we said all that stuff, but don't send them here.
Yeah. When we said they're your problem, we meant they should be your problem.
Right.
It's fine if they're your problem, but it's really wrong if it's my problem.
Yes, it's virtuous if I throw things at you about it from on high, but don't make me do anything about it.
To the officer's point here, Gabe, you've got the Texas trying to deal with this over and over and over. Buoy blockades in the Rio Grande. They've now got a new law that says you cannot enter the state of Texas illegally.
Right.
Basically enforcing the immigration laws in the country will
on some
catch
level.
you. And they're trying to at least. And the Biden administration, who will not put any meaningful resources into shoring up and securing the southern border, is activating federal resources to sue the state of Texas, or that's what they're threatening, if they try to enforce their anti-illegal immigration law. So the Attorney General of Texas, his name is Ken Paxton, as most people know. He was on with Maria Bartiromo on Fox.
They're actually helping aid and abet the cartels, and then Texas says, we've had enough, we're going to do something about it, and then they threaten us from enforcing our own laws. It seems pretty crazy, and it's hard to believe that we have a government that is working against its own citizens and helping the cartels move as many people across the border as possible.
How much water do you think the argument is going to hold in Supreme Court about the jurisdiction issue here?
A lot.
Well, I'm wondering because it's one thing for Texas to say we're going to enforce an existing federal law as opposed to here's a Texas law that we're going to enforce. Is the law enough? The competing laws enough to bring up the jurisdiction issue?
My guess is that the Texas law is going to get struck down.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
By the U.S. Supreme Court, and I don't think the U.S. Supreme Court is pro illegal immigration, but I think under the federalism system, I think they are going to rule that immigration policy is the sole domain of the federal government, and they may constitutionally be right about that. But here's the thing:
I was wondering,
if nothing else, even if that happens, Texas has humiliated the Biden administration to independent voters.
Absolutely. And everybody should look at what's happening in these cities. Yes, and Florida as well. Everybody should be looking at what's happening in New York and Chicago and realize that now that they're getting what they want, now that they're getting the quote unquote diversity that they've been asking for, now that they have to do the sanctuary city, actually implement being a sanctuary city as in addition to just virtue signaling about it, it's all falling apart. That's how leftist policy always ends up. Once you actually have to do the thing, once you actually have to implement the thing to get all of the equity that you want, it falls apart, and you're going to have to appeal to some higher level of authority to come save us.
Yeah.
And there are neighborhood groups and aldermen in Chicago and New York, especially the neighborhood groups, screaming about this situation, saying, hey, you guys have got this thing all screwed up. We've got all these illegal aliens coming in. All our services are being used up, and you're giving it to them.
Yeah.
When we're the ones who have lived here for 40, 50, 60 years. What are you doing?
What's interesting is there was a push to put the sanctuary city designation up for a vote, the Chicago City Council said, yeah, we're not going to put that in.
Yeah, that's right. I vaguely remember
no,
that.
We're not going to do that
Yeah,
because they would be really embarrassed right now on this. All right, 314-912-1019, looking over some of the conversations happening on Rumble right now. This one I'm looking at. RFB99, hey, thanks for your comment. I cannot read that one on the air.
So you're just going to have to go and check it out. If you're not sure what we're talking about here, you're going to have to go on there and check it out.
Let's just say that that I agree. But I can't say what you said. But you can say whatever you want on the Rumble thing
that's how Rumble works. Yeah.
All right, 314-912-1019. Rachel and I saw a really good movie over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's surprising that this movie was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, hang around for a couple of minutes. I'm going to tell you which movie it is. You're going to laugh at me, but I am telling you, you should go see this movie.
I might have a rejoinder for you, too, as another one that was a surprisingly good movie.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that right around 8:51 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Stop reading the word, and you lived off the story when the times were good.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
The fuels are rusty from sitting in the shack. Get back to the Bible, sharpen the axe.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Well, it started one day when you compromised. Just a settled decision with a little white lie.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. You know, whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser-guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything, of course. It's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value, delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hi, it's Thunder Stealer Ken Williams, and on behalf of the Vic Porcelli Show, I hope each and every one of you have an amazing new year, and I hope you keep it with us. And Vic is back on Tuesday.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, you know, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Point of personal privilege.
Yes, sir.
Happy anniversary to you and your bride.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes,
that was
the first
New Year's Day
yesterday.
So happy anniversary to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Happy birthday coming up for Stell.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that this week or next week?
It's coming up Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
January 4th.
And happy belated to you.
I had a birthday as well. Yep.
On the 31st.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Rachel and I went to. I don't go see a lot of movies anymore. I think in the last year, if I go to 1 or 2 movies a year, that's enough for me. I just But have you seen the trailer and the promotion for this movie called The Iron Claw?
I saw the trailer. It looked very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know kind of the niche of professional wrestling, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there's the what's called the Von Erich family. It's not the real name, but that's what they're known as. And the dad was the bad guy back in the 60s and 70s, and then in the late 70s, throughout the 80s, and into I don't even think it was the 90s. I think it was just the late 80s. His sons were the next generation of wrestlers, and the Von Erich family was very big in that particular industry. And so they made a movie about the Von Erich family. Now, my wife knows that I really get a kick out of the old school pro wrestling stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't watched wrestling in years. Remember, former NWA World Champion Nick Aldis was on the show.
He
with
was
us,
here, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he goes, Mike, you're a lapsed fan. He said there's a lot of you out there. You watched when you were a kid, and then you kind of just felt. He's right.
Yeah, that's true.
But I get such a kick. The videos come up on my Facebook, and it's like the old guys talking about what happened. And I love that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought, okay, well, this would be interesting. It'd be kind of an old school pro wrestling movie. And Rachel, my wife, I showed her the trailer, and she goes, well, that could be interesting. Okay, I'll go with you.
Sure.
I think she was humoring me because it was, my birthday was coming up another day or so. By the end of that movie, she was bawling.
Oh, yeah.
Other people were crying.
Mm-hmm. You hear the sniffles in the
theater.
theater.
You heard the sniffles. And Rachel, at the end of the movie, said, that's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yes.
I figured if I'm like, maybe they'll do a good job because it's a true story.
Yeah.
The Von Erich family has just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, but the dad is the source of the tragedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil the movie.
Right.
Especially if you don't know the story. Almost everybody in that theater probably had seen the Dark Side of the Ring documentary series by Vice on that. But this movie, they did a phenomenal job. Zac Efron from High School Musical, and he played Kevin Von Erich, who is the only living Von Erich child left. He's the only one who's alive.
Man, that's crazy.
He did a great job. I'm telling you, I was stunned at how good and moving and provocative this movie. I say provocative in a good way. How moving this movie was. I mean, you could have set that movie in any industry or any sport or any business as a backdrop, and it would have been really, really good. So I am telling you, even though it centers on professional wrestling, old-timey professional wrestling, go see The Iron Claw. It is a remarkable movie. I could not believe how good that movie was.
Now, similarly, on my birthday, it was the 22nd, I won't say I dragged. I took my family to go see a Godzilla -1.
Did you drag them?
I kind of dragged.
Yeah.
My wife was semi-interested.
Your
She's
wife,
kind of she's nerdy.
She's not as nerdy as
she's
you,
not
but
quite
she's
as nerdy.
kind of nerdy.
She's comic book nerdy.
And
she's not Godzilla nerdy. So that's
I mean that in an
different breed.
affectionate way.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But
is it kid friendly?
It is. It's a PG-13 movie. I mean, there's some tragedy, there's some destruction. Obviously, it's a Godzilla movie. But the thing is, it's subtitled, so you don't want to get too young on kids. It's a Japanese movie. It's very much ensconced in Japan and Japanese culture because it's the tail end of World War II. Obviously, Japan is demoralized; they're destroyed, and it follows the story of a former pilot with the Japanese military, him trying to find redemption, essentially trying to get his honor back, trying to get his manhood back after post-war. And it's really it's a very, as much as it's kind of a depressing movie because Japan's just facing one disaster after another, and as they're trying to claw back out of World War II, a walking disaster named Godzilla kind of gives them problems. It's basically Godzilla is acting as a kind of natural disaster figure. He's a sci-fi version of a natural disaster. So imagine them having a tsunami come through, right after World War II. So they're just trying to rebuild their lives, and a disaster kind of comes through. And they're dealing with a powerless government. U.S. allies who can't spare any resources. So basically, the people have to come together to deal with this Godzilla problem in the midst of all of their troubles. And it's very hopeful. It's about redemption, manhood, honor, and sacrifice. And it's a beautiful character study of this particular soldier. And again, just like at the end of your movie, my girls were a little teary-eyed at the end of this movie. So, yes, a movie based on a giant nuclear lizard can have some quality to it.
Was the Godzilla cool, at least? Because there are good Godzillas and bad Godzillas.
This was a return to terrifying Godzilla.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was scary. He was like, you get these camera angles looking up at him as he's knocking over a building with his tail, and you're just like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And his breath was like, it was a nuclear explosion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was terrifying.
We also watched the new Dave Chappelle.
Oh gosh, yes.
I'm not going to
say
much more because I don't want to spoil the jokes. And obviously, I can't. Every other word is an F word what we N word.
You can't share it. Yeah,
but it was really funny.
Hey, look up the Jim Carrey joke. It's circulating on Twitter. Just look it up.
And is it ironic Godzilla would open and there's an earthquake in Japan?
Oh my God, that's true.
The latest news.
When you saw Speaker Mike Johnson come into the speakership, he made it very clear. We have to secure America's border first.
This isn't about politics. This is about national security, and a secure border is national security.
The news you need to know.
I'm also here today to correct how the MAGA right has portrayed me for their political purposes.
And the place to talk about it.
Worried we're going to be stuck with Biden.
101.9 and 94.1.
Right here.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Tim Jones here for Rockwood Charcoal. If you love to grill as much as I do, I'm sure you prefer using charcoal over gas. Ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, we're not using anything else. Rockwood's made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and can be found in stores all across the country. It's the